Things that can get you high in your car.
Hello, this is Daryl Strawberry, and believe it or not, windshield wiper fluid is a great aphrodisiac, and it'll get you going, boy. Just pour a little bit in a funnel, and whammo, it's better than Viagra, though it is a little hard on the gizzard going down. The Daryl Strawberry School of Addiction, open now in Tampa.
This time it comes in front, there's it, got it away, in the middle of the top of the goal. Got it in front of the net, looks like a front, and Carroll is knocked down. And now out comes Gore as they will shoot it deep into the lead zone. Back of the net goes Cavalry with less than a minute to go, and now Joseph looking for the bench, and out comes Bearson. Bearson to the line and gets in. Bearson into the bench. Looks like a front. Oh! Gary Ball!
Okay, calm down, Joe. Calm down. It wasn't Gary Volk. It was Dmitry Yushkevich. But that's okay. We'll take it. Hanging on for desperation there in overtime. Looked like the Cats to me, didn't it? Yeah, in that last minute, desperate. Nice move there, Terry, on measuring the stick, thanks to my good buddy Len Perry. And Terry rhymes with Mary. But at any rate, a little bit on the desperate side as the Leafs just refuse to lose. But nobody cares about hockey here, do they? No. Pretty damn exciting game, even though I was at the track and was like catching bits and pieces in between losing tickets. Well, speaking of losing, by the way, what a great segue that was. Well, first let's start with yesterday's poll. We asked yesterday, is it finally time for Al Gore to concede? We had 847 votes as of this moment, quite a few. And when I left here yesterday, it was running about 65 to 35. No, you hang in there, Al, and just keep up the good fight. But then I noticed at 5 o'clock, I went to my computer at home, and I clicked on our website, and I voted myself at that point. You know what I voted at that time at 5 o'clock? I voted, yeah. And I noticed that there was a major turn. The worm was turning at that point after the judge ruled, Judge Sauls in Leon County. 847 votes, 58%, 491 still say, no, don't give it up. Don't give up the ghost, Al. And 355, that's 42% say yes. So a significant change there in the last, whatever it is, 9 hours since the thing came in. Like I said, the last 20 hours. And I know that this is going to disappoint a lot of people out there who are, oh, you're a quitter, Neon, you're a quitter. Well, I'm just giving you my opinion. I think the time has come. Even George is saying, yeah, I think the time has come.
Well, I mean, it's futile, I think, at this point.
Well, it's not futile because they still have the and I think Judge Sauls, like I told you before we came on the air today, I think what he was doing was saying two things. First of all, they didn't prove their case beyond a shadow of a doubt, which I would agree with him. I thought they presented a pretty marginal case. And number two, because he's keeping all the ballots that they schlepped up there impounded, if the Florida Supreme Court overrules him and says, okay, go ahead and count those 14,000 votes, they still got them up there. They can still go ahead and count those. It's not going to take forever to count that many votes. And I don't think you're going to find any one judge anywhere in America who wants to overturn the results of any election. In fact, you look at the Florida Supreme Court who voted 7-0 a few days ago and said, oh, the butterfly ballot's okay. They know the butterfly ballot's illegal, but courts are loath to overturn the results of any election. That's just the way it is. And I think that's probably a pretty good thing in the long run, especially once we get rid of these stupid paper ballots. So let's ask the poll question today. Pretty much the same, but we'll change it a little bit. And we'll see if the worm is really turning. The NASDAQ's up 94, I should point out, and the Dow's up 117. Oh! Because the market people, the big money people, they want the Bushmeister in there. And also, before I give you the poll question, let me just say this to you. And it's just taken me until now to realize this. I guess I'm a little bit slow, and probably it's a good thing, because otherwise it wouldn't have been as exciting, and people wouldn't have been foaming at the mouth as much about this stuff. But the fact is, you got a Senate that's divided right down the middle, even Steven with Lieberman back in Connecticut, and they can have him, 50-50 in the Senate. Now that Maria Cantwell won in Washington, and Flash Gordon conceded. And the House is just a handful of votes apart, even though we got these blue dog, blue-nose asshole Democrats who really are Republicans in drag, these Southern Democrats, we used to call them Dixiecrats, even they're sucking up with Bush, and they're sucking up to them to try to get a few votes. But the fact remains this. If they try to appoint some right-wing fascist Supreme Court justice, are they going to get him confirmed in the Senate? No. No way. Because even with Cheney as the tiebreaker, assuming his heart is still beating at that point, there's always going to be a handful of small, just like during impeachment, a small handful of moderate Republicans who are going to say, no, we're not going for that asshole. And the same thing with that massive tax cut and all these other things all these promises that Bush made, Star Wars, all of these things. Are they going to get through this Congress?
No.
No. So basically what you're going to have is gridlock, which the markets love, and which really wouldn't be all that bad. So even though you got a Dumbo in there, a real bozo, in addition to which also you've got the 92 congressional elections, and like the gubernatorial election here in Florida coming up, which will be a golden opportunity for people to, like, strike back. So assuming that Bush does get in, and it looks very likely that he will, it's not going to be the end of the world. If they would have had a strong Republican Congress, then I think we'd have some real serious problems. Those of us who are a little bit to the left of Attila the Hun. So here's the poll question today. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should exhaust all legal options or concede. Huh? There you go. Let's see if we have any change of heart today. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should exhaust all legal options or concede on neilrogers.com. Huh? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? I tell you what I say. Yesterday, I turned this audience on to a tremendous product. This is not a sponsor. It's not, nobody's paying me. Nobody's giving me any free stuff yet. Where's the free stuff, George? But, speaking of George, tomorrow's George's birthday, and I mentioned that today, so if anybody wants to send him some presents. No, see, it's always good to mention, just like you put it on the calendar in big writing up there. Yeah, no, I mentioned it today so that anybody wants to send a gift. Like if Rimmer wants to send you, like, a voucher for that free meal that he owes you. And see, Rimmer, I'm glad that I didn't send you an anniversary gift because, quite frankly, now that Xerox looks like it's going out of business, that $25,000 that's going in a crapper thanks to your brother-in-law's bad dream that he had that night. Yeah, that dream about the Sheik of Arabi was buying 1 billion shares of Xerox, or whatever the story was, some cockamamie bunch of crap. Looks like Xerox may be going under. What do you think, those Romans and the togas? Remember, I think that's what put them over the edge, with those spots with the Romans and the togas. That's what done them in. Pretty scary when a company like Xerox is on the verge of bankruptcy, isn't it? Huh? Yeah, it sounds like that whole legal business, that investing business sounds like legalized Las Vegas kind of stuff. I don't want to start paraphrasing anybody else. Ted David didn't say that. He didn't say that. You just thought he said that yesterday. He didn't say it. He's a great guy. We love him, and he's down here, and he's probably listening anyway. He did not say that. I said it. And I've been saying that for years. It's like gambling for pseudo-intellectuals, the stock market. And all these people that come on the air, like on CNBC and all these other places, they're just touts. That's all they're doing. They're touting it. I should mention the hearing on the Seminole case. The absentee ballots in Seminole County, they'll be hearing at 1:30 before the hanging black lady judge up there in Leon County. Anyway, the product yesterday I talked about was Carb Solutions. Well, let me do the break, and then I want to talk about that for like 2 or 3 hours. God, that's great stuff. One day, and probably a lot of people out there saying, oh, that fat slob, he couldn't get through one day without eating. Well, guess what? Did I eat anything yesterday solid?
No.
No. I'll tell you one thing, I got rid of something solid this morning, but that's another story. Lost 2 pounds the first day, and I feel great. The symptoms of my GERD and my IBS and all this agita have like basically, at least for the moment, subsided, and I feel fantastic. So thanks to my good friends there at Publix for keeping a lot of this stuff in stock. Hopefully, Delights will be stocking it. I made sure Peter Led called them immediately this morning. And also, hopefully, since they're up in Boca, we'll be getting like about 500 cases of this stuff down here. It is great, which I'll tell you more about it.
No portion of this program may be reproduced without the express written permission of WQAM Beasley Broadcast Group, Incorporated.
This is the face of erectile dysfunction.
Whoa, what? You're not going to show my face, are you?
Relax. This is just the radio.
Oh, thank God.
This is the face of Jack Thomas of 136 Oakdale Road in Louisville, Kentucky.
What are you doing?
He has erectile dysfunction.
Come on, I've got family to think about. Friends.
He can't get it up.
Oh, God, I have to go to work tomorrow.
He can't pitch a tent, raise the weasel, straighten the mast.
Man, I'm going to kill you.
If you, too, suffer from erectile dysfunction, don't be afraid. You're just like Jack Thomas of 136 Oakdale Road in Louisville, Kentucky.
Stop saying my name!
And if Jack Thomas of 136 Oakdale Road in Louisville, Kentucky can face his erectile dysfunction, can't you?
Stop, please! I beg of you!
Erectile dysfunction. Anyone can get it. Even Jack Thomas of 136 Oakdale Road in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, God.
What was that name again? 1014 at 560 WQAM. Happy Tuesday to you. Somebody just faxes this to me. I somehow missed this story, maybe because I was at the track losing my money last night. Did you see the O.J. story?
I heard about it anyway.
I killed Nicole.
No, not that story. We know that one. O.J. Simpson was involved in an altercation with another motorist who claimed the former football great grabbed his glasses and scratched him, Miami police said. The man told police he saw a black Ford Navigator drive past a stop sign Monday in the suburban community of Kendall. The man, whom police would not identify, said he flicked his lights at the sports utility vehicle. The Navigator stopped and its driver exited the vehicle and walked toward the other car, Detective Rudy Espinoza said. The two men argued briefly, he said. Simpson then reached inside the car and pulled the glasses off the victim's face, causing a small scratch on his face. The victim went home and called police and was able to identify the driver of the black Navigator as Orenthal James Simpson, Espinoza said.
I killed Nicole.
Simpson has not been charged. He was to be questioned today by Miami-Dade police. Reporters from TV stations WSVN and WPLG said they went to Simpson's home, but that he wouldn't comment on the incident, but he did say...
I killed Nicole.
Yeah. How do you like that? How do you like... you know what I've always said? Haven't I said something? This is very, very good advice to keep in mind. A scumbag is a scumbag. You know what I'm saying? You follow my... Yeah. Once a scumbag, always a scumbag. And O.J., you're a scumbag, and...
I killed Nicole.
And we know about that, too. Because the last time he had a knife that big in his hand... Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the fact that says, as a registered independent, I've decided the best way to voice my disagreement with the way of the state government and the Republican Party in whole to silence the voice and will of the people in South Florida is to change my party affiliation to the Democratic Party. If you deem it a good idea, please spread the message and encourage other registered independents in South Florida to do the same. Signed, a soon-to-be Democrat. There you go. Oh! You don't get mad, just get even. That's another cliche, another slogan for you to live by. Don't get pissed, just get even. And we'll have plenty of opportunity to do that in 2 years especially when we say something to Governor Jeb Bush. You know what we're going to say?
Bye, bye, bye!
Yeah, adios. See ya. And get rid of some of these fascists. See, and I know that there are going to be some of the people are going to say, well, you know, you're wrong, Neil, because what about those 14,000 votes? You see, even if they do, if the Florida Supreme Court overrules Judge Sauls and says, yeah, they need to be counted, there's always going to be the stench of manure hanging over the fact, well, you know, we're looking now for little tiny dimples and pimples, and it just gets to the point of being ridiculous. And also even the thing in Seminole and Martin counties. There can be no question in anybody's mind, even if you're just a little bit objective, that there was some serious hanky-panky with those absentee ballots and the application forms. But does that mean you can throw? How do you know which ones you throw out? Today is the 5th of December. A week from today, at least according to the deadline the first deadline, that's supposed to be the day that the state appoints its electors. Even though officially they have a lot more time than that. But nevertheless, that's what the date that's been planted in the mind of the public. And you know as well as I do, the Florida legislature is certainly not going to sit and let that day come and go without appointing their own slate of 25 electors all pledged to George W. Bush. You know that. Don't you know that? Yeah, we all know that. Even the dumbest of the dumb know that. So what's the point? Oh, there's Drew Lieberman.
Grateful for the support we received throughout America, winning in the popular vote. As of today, 267 electoral votes, and confident that a majority of those who went to vote in Florida intended to vote for Al Gore for President of the United States. And that simple principle, as you know, is what we are continuing to pursue in the courts of Florida.
There's the chigger in the woodpile right there. There's the real extra weak link. Gore was weak enough to begin with, but there was the real extra weak link that just broke it off at the pass. 32 votes already on here. Very close. See how different it is right now? I voted for concede.
I voted for pot seed.
Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should exhaust all legal options, 17, concede 15. I mean, it's as close as a witch's earlobe. It's tight. Here's a call in Plantation. Hello?
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Let's talk about Judge Merry Old Souls for a minute. It's obvious because the Republicans went hell-bent to try to get Nikki Clark off this case by filing motions to recuse, taking it up on appeal, and then refiling the motions, all which were denied.
Right, they didn't get her off of there, yeah.
That if they thought Judge Souls was not in their pocket like so many nickels and dimes, that they would have done the same thing with him. Which I'm
not buying that at all.
You don't think?
I don't think he was in anybody's pocket. First of all, he used to be a Republican. He switched. He's a registered Democrat now, number one. And number two, I listened to the same, or at least not all of it, but a lot of the same testimony that you did and he did, and I don't think that they made their case. I thought the case was extremely weak.
Well, I agree with you, except the move that they should have made was they should have brought the 9,000 ballots to the courtroom, put up a witness like Gunsberg or somebody else, and said, when they got to either 931 or 538, and say these are Gore votes, then they would have established a precedent to say that we had enough votes to...
Yeah, you say bring them to the courtroom, but who was going to count them?
On the witness stand itself, they should have held up thousands of ballots to a witness.
Well, they weren't just going to hand over the ballots to some witness to sit there and play with on the witness stand. That's not how it works.
Not to play with it, but
not to do anything with it, not to touch it, not to fondle it, not to squeeze it, not to poke it, not to scrape it. They weren't going to do that. There was no chance he was going to do that.
The real issue here is when Clark rules like 180 degrees from the way Sauls ruled and says that the 15,000 ballots are out, you'll see the rule of law crowd go nuts.
Well, how do you know she's going to do that?
Well, that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously we have opinions, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
She's going to say they're out, and the rule of law crowd will not have the rule of law on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with the NRA. They enforce the laws in the books. Well, she'll enforce the laws in the books.
Yeah.
She'll fashion the remedy to say 15,000 are out. And a point of fact, if you listen to the Republican people the talking heads for the Republicans talking about if she could do it or not, none of them have a good reason why she can't do it.
Yeah.
Not one of them.
But then you know what's going to happen after that. Then immediately they'll appeal that decision to the Florida Supreme
and
Court.
And the Florida Supreme, it'll be a tight order just like Saul's order, and the Florida Supreme Court will say it's okay. And then it'll go up.
I'm glad you're so confident, but there are a lot of people who thought the Florida Supreme Court would say the ballot in Palm Beach, the butterfly ballot, was illegal, and it almost certainly is. And yet it was 7-0. They said they weren't going to declare it illegal. They weren't because the only remedy was a revote. Which
but the difference is they won't have the decision underneath. Like if Clark's decision underneath is tight and it's a tight order, then when they take it out, that's the whole decision. Well, Vargas said that the ballot, or whatever judge it was, said that the butterfly ballot was not illegal. But if Clark rules underneath that the 15,000 are out, and they take it up on that, then they can't. Then it's the same thing. They can't say she abused her discretion if she has some faith.
No, I don't think LaBarga didn't rule that the ballot wasn't illegal. I think he just ruled that it wasn't within his authority to order another revote. That he basically passed the ball.
Well, that's the difference. But having the court underneath finding that there is a problem and the ballots are out.
Yeah.
If there's an affirmative ruling underneath, then the same abuse of discretion standard applies to the judge underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, but don't you think that Judge Sauls was also passing the buck in saying that we're going to keep the ballots here, and now it's up to the Florida Supreme Court, and if they want to overrule them, fine, and then go ahead and count them?
Of course he passed the buck.
Well,
but he should have at least had a count. He should have appointed many special masters, maybe 9, to do 1,000 ballots each, and then they could have done it in 5 hours.
But you know something? No matter what he was going to rule, it would have been appealed to the Supreme Court. They weren't going to start counting until the final appeal was heard by the Florida Supreme Court, either way.
They should have at least separated them out to see whether or not it was possible for
They have them separated out. They have them separated.
No, separated out, to say these are absolutely no votes, these are questionable Gore, questionable Bush, and then they would have
They have them separated. They're in envelopes. Believe me when I tell you, they're separated.
All the 9,000 or the ones they've already counted?
Yes. The 9,000 are separated and the 3,300 in Palm Beach. They're all in separate envelopes.
There hasn't been any stories out as to who, how many questionable Gore and how many questionable Bush out of the 9,000.
No, well, they haven't been, of course not, because they haven't been looked at yet, but they're in separate envelopes.
That's interesting to find out how many there are.
Okay, have a great day. Good luck to us. Well, there's a confident guy. He says that the black judge up there, she's Judge Clark, she's going to go ahead and say, Seminole County, you're out. Martin County, you're out. Throw them out. That's thousands and thousands. And Al Gore's ahead. We'll see. We'll see if he's right. NASDAQ's up 115. The markets are soaring because the markets want Bush. The big money people want Bush. Make no mistake about that. And that should tell you a lot. Here's Hollywood. Hello.
Hi, I just want to say, looking back now, you see how important it was for the Republican terrorists to shut down the vote count. Where, if Gore would have come there, if he didn't have a 1-vote lead, the way the judges are ruling,
But you see what the problem was when Dade County, when David Leahy wimped out when they said, okay, we don't have time, we're going to stop. When they did that, if they would have just started once and gone right on through and kept going and not have been intimidated, they would have had those votes counted in Dade County. And the same in Palm Beach. If they wouldn't have had all the stops and starts, they could have finished. Broward County even worked on Thanksgiving Day, and they worked through the night, and somehow they got all their votes counted. So if all the votes would have been counted, the case in Leon County that we just got through hearing would have been a moot point because all the ballots would have been looked at already.
Exactly, and then it would have put Bush on a defensive.
Right.
So to speak.
Well, if they came out the way Gore thinks.
Yeah, I mean, assuming even if he had a one-vote lead.
Right.
And he said, well, you prove your case to throw these ballots out. It's almost the reverse of what you have now.
Right.
Because the way the judges are ruling, unless you come in there with machine guns and steal the ballots, they say, oh, don't bother us,
Yeah. You mentioned one vote lead. Just think to yourself, what would have happened after they did all of these recounts if Bush or Gore would have won by like 3 or 4 votes?
Yeah, really.
Is there anybody in this
close to it now?
Is there anybody in the state or the country that said, oh, okay, well, one is as good as a million? I don't think so.
Now it's like what? It's like 1 out of 10,000 votes, I think it is. Do the fractions on it.
Well, thank God we didn't have too many dead people vote this time. Good luck to us, pal. Okay. How many dead people do you think voted in Dade County?
All of them.
I would say
9
in every block, yeah. 9 people. Oh, and speaking of those numbers, guess what Beasley stock is?
$8.
Well, it's there. I might as well use it, 5670560. Pretty interesting on our poll. Very, very tight. It is tighter than a witch's eardrum. Now that he's lost in court again, we're talking about Judge Saul's ruling in Leon County yesterday, obviously, for anybody who slept through it. Al Gore should exhaust all legal options, 40, concede, 37. Man, you couldn't slip a curly hair in between those numbers. Hey, New Balance is open now. Did I talk about my carb solutions again yet? I mentioned it, but I didn't. I got to go into length about it because it's great. And because that way we'll get a lot more free stuff.
To my ass at 8 and a quarter. I want to die. Why did I buy BBGI?
There's no need to fear. The undervotes are here.
They sent the ballots all the way from Palm Beach County and from Tatum. Other hearings underway, but Al Gore wants a recount of the undervote. Undervote. By the people, little brother, count the ones that penciled undervote.
1031 at 560 WQAM. Here's the facts from Amy in Fort Lauderdale. Says the independent guy was on the right track when he decided to change his party to Democrat. However, imagine if everyone angry at the Republicans changed their party to Republicans, their control of the primaries and their candidates would be gone. Not a very good idea, Amy, because then you can't vote in your own primaries and you can't pick who's going to be in there, which we sure as hell don't want Al Gore again in 84,
no.
2004, whatever year it's going to be. Do we want him again?
No.
No way. Nice try there, Al, but like I said, weak try, Al. The guy that called before, though, has got a pretty good point. And, of course, you can look at it from the perspective of this. And that is, as long as they've dragged it out this long and tried everything under the sun, why not wait another couple of days? I thought the hearing was Wednesday. But CNN claims that, and when I say claims, I want to make sure that I put that in big letters, real loud, because these last couple of days, these networks, MSNBC and CNN, they've been all over the place. Bill Snyder was on there last night on CNN saying, well, it was very confusing, the ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. It took at least an hour to figure out what they were really saying. And, of course, MSNBC was doing even better than that, saying, well, we were at a disadvantage. We didn't have the written copy of their ruling. Right. Which was an excuse for their rushing to judgment and saying that they had reversed the Florida Supreme Court. Did they do that? No, they did not. Just as accurate as they were on election night. Don't get it right, just get it first. But anyway, like I said, if they've dragged it out this long and waited this long, why not wait another day or two and see what Judge Clark up there does? Maybe she is pissed off at Jeb Bush, huh? Maybe she's going to stick it to him. Maybe she's going to teach those white folks that payback is a bitch and toss those votes out. And then, of course, that goes to the Florida Supreme Court again, and we just keep going. But see, that's what bothers me. I just don't have an appetite for that anymore, because I realize that Bush did steal the election. But you know something? Let him steal it. Let the public be angry and foam at the mouth and think about that for a couple of years. And let's also have some massive, not just election campaign reform, but how about election reform in the way that we do it? And it seems to me that I'm the only one talking about that. I don't hear any. They're on there 40 hours a day hawking a China about every aspect of this under the sun. And did the vice president pick his nose twice today? And did Drew Lieberman eat kosher all day? And all this other crap. But very little conversation, maybe about 50 words in these last 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it's been since the election, about election reform, doing it right. If this is, like I said yesterday, if this is supposed to be so goddamn important, then why not get it right? We're in the Stone Age. Paper ballots and bringing these witnesses out to talk about the plastic under the ballots and scraping off the chads and the accumulation of chad and the fact that the voting machines in Dade County hadn't been emptied out and cleaned in 8 years. Did you hear that one? 8 years. Nice going, David Leahy. You know what I want to say about David Leahy? He's an asshole. He's a schmuck. He's just another hack. Is all he is. Well, that poll is tight. 124 votes. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should exhaust all legal options 63, concede 61. You could barely slide a little tiny hair in there, you know what? Here's Hollywood. Hello.
Enough with the whining. It's over.
Who's whining?
All your callers are whiners.
No, I didn't hear anybody whining except you sounding like this, okay? You're the one that's whining, asshole. Another Bush asshole. I would say in these last 4 weeks, I don't want to exaggerate, but 99.5% of the Bush people I've talked to have been real assholes. Just like him. Childish. Juvenile. Just like the idiots with their sore loserman cards and placards and stickers and crap. Sore loserman. I know I'd be pretty proud of my candidate winning the election by, 500 and some odd votes and losing the popular vote. Like I told you before the election, we ought to be embarrassed for all 4 of them because they're really pathetic. But once again, I'm one of the very few people with the honesty to tell you that, because most other people are so goddamn partisan. Oh, you're wrong, Neil. He's going to make a great president. Yeah, just like Gerald Ford. Here's a lady in Fort Myers. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think there's anything in the argument that those ballots were entered into evidence up in Tallahassee and they weren't even looked at? Shouldn't all evidence be looked at?
Well, I mean, when you say looked at, once they look at them, what they're doing is recounting ballots. It's part of the election process. There's a difference between examining evidence. I mean, that was part of the case that the Democrats made. But obviously the judge didn't agree with that. Now we'll see what the Florida Supreme Court says.
Yeah, it was like a catch-22.
And then I just about died when the thing came over and they were talking to David Boies or whoever, and they were talking about the fact, that immediately they were rushing down the hallway so that they could get the appeal and it was going to the Florida Supreme Court, which I guess this morning they're finally getting it. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, well, certainly they can have an answer on this by the end of the week. Well, guess what? Today is the 5th of December already.
Yeah.
By the end of the week.
Well, I don't really know what to say. I guess, the only thing I can say to your listeners is if you want to see some scary Republicans, go on AOL chat.
Oh, I'm sure.
Have you been there?
No, or just listen to the calls like this last guy.
Yeah, I mean, worse than that. It's unbelievable. And people wonder why, this country is so divided,
mm-hmm.
That kind of attitude is like, I don't know how you were raised, but, no member of my family has that kind of disgusting attitude.
Yeah, well, they're a bunch of bigots, and they don't want to admit it. That was the one honest call I had one day toward the end of last week, because I keep asking over and over again, will one person give me a legitimate reason why they voted for Bush? And the one guy called in, he said, well, I can't relate to the people who are Democrats now, because, and I said, well, so it boils down to the fact that you're a bigot? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, well, at least you're honest.
Yeah, I remember I talked to you after that, and you had mentioned that point to me, and I said that, honesty, that's rare. But, yeah, I mean, I had the same reaction in a chat room. You know, that basically people were saying, you know, yeah, we are. You know, what of it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
well, please do yourself a favor and don't look at chat rooms. Chat rooms are in fact, all you have to do is look at the emails. Did you ever watch Talkback on CNN?
sure.
Okay, and you see the emails they keep putting up on the screen, and you keep spitting blood because each one is more stupid than the previous one. Don't read the stuff. It'll just make your blood boil. Forget about it.
Let me tell you, it does make my blood boil, but I've got 2 children, and I'm a single mother. And, you know, I've lived out of this country, and I've traveled quite a bit. And, you know, I'd have to say that just because of that, I'll make it a point, and I have taken my children out of the country, and, you know, they're a bit too young, but, you know, I definitely encourage that. And, you know, the reason that I have to look at all angles is because I need to know what's going on. You know, I need to know what to talk to my children about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's important.
Well, I don't think too many. I don't think too many parents are talking. I don't think too many parents are talking to their children too much straight, because when they keep taking these polls of the kids like they were doing before the election, and Bush was like 1 million votes ahead nationwide, or 2 million or whatever it was, by this humongous margin. And then when I saw the thing with the ovation for Bush at the hockey game last Wednesday, I have to really wonder what kind of values are being given to kids in this country.
Well, let me tell you, I voted for Gore, not because I'm a diehard Democrat. I'm not. But, you know, for I think some of the obvious reasons why people, you know, were voting for Nader, which I think was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and I basically laid it out to her. Hey, don't take my opinion. You've got to wait until you understand everything that's going on. You've got to form your own opinion. Don't just, you know, stand there and shout Gore, Gore, because, you know, I happen to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, I think it all boils down to people's upbringing, what you're taught at home. It all starts at home. You know, racism and bigotry is something it's learned.
Yeah, well, just ask the Boy Scouts. Okay, sweetheart, have a nice day. Speaking of the Boy Scouts, they're suing Broward County School Board. That's right. I'll get into that in a second. There's a great line in the story in the Herald today. Oh, man, just like Anita Bryant all over again. Uh-huh. Yeah. 20 before 11 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Jeff Bush.
Just in time for the holidays. The most unusual Christmas album ever. Oprah Winfrey burps the Christmas classics. Listen to Oprah pass gas at Christmas Mass. Oprah Winfrey burps the Christmas classics. Available in the freezer section at Ralph's.
1044 at 560 WQM. Here's the facts from Redland. It says, I think you're absolutely correct in assessing the heart of Saul's ruling was that while there are probably 600 Gore undervotes in Dade, the plaintiff failed to show how using the same methodology statewide, he could substantially alter the outcome. While I don't think there's a nickel's difference in the 2 men, at this point I'm captivated by the theater. Face it, a comeback now would be the most dramatic resurrection since Easter morning, 33 A.D. Oh! Signed, Jesus Christer. 56705. Oh, here's a fact that says, I wanted to wish Georgia a happy birthday. My birthday is also December 6th. Have a great day tomorrow. Go Fins, Jamie and Plantation. How do you like that?
A lot of famous people have December 6th.
See, I told you. What did I tell you?
St. Nicholas, Rodney Baltimore.
Mention it today, and right away you'll be getting all kinds of gifts tomorrow. Probably Greg Reed will be in here tomorrow with about 50 cents. You think you're going to get a gift from Greg Reed?
No.
50 cents?
No.
No. How about a in the face, maybe?
How about my bonus?
From what?
From the summer book. You got yours.
It's only December the 5th. Yeah, I got mine because it's in my contract. That's why. Why don't you have your lawyer put it in your contract, Mr. Hotshot? You better start eating a lot more humble pie. Oh, speaking of that, they probably got some low-carb humble pie. This Carb Solutions, I don't want to go ballistic on this. In fact, it's probably just as well if I don't, because I rushed to Publix right after work yesterday, and luckily my Sawgrass Publix, that store, those people in there, that's the greatest place on the face of the earth. I think I might just move in there, hang out with some of the bag boys. No, seriously, that's just a great store. They treat me great in there. They're wonderful, friendly people, not just to me, but all the customers, and they had a ton of this stuff, which I was petrified, because usually when I mention something on the air, it vanishes from the shelves immediately. Carb Solutions, they have 3 different things. They've got the bars, the low-carb bars, which actually taste good, unlike some of the other ones. I don't want to mention no names. And they have the powder, that you make the milkshakes with the you just mix water and maybe a little sweet and low in the blender, and that's damn good stuff. Almost no carbs. And then they've got these high protein drinks already in the bottles. The chocolate one's got 4 carbs, and the cappuccino's got only 3 carbs, which in my personal opinion is the best, the cappuccino. And they're great. And they do have, I was looking through the ingredients because I knew there had to be something that made them taste so good. They do have sucralose, but it's about the 10th ingredient on the thing, so they don't have a lot of it in there, and it won't make your brains out. And they are great. Carb Solutions. I hope we can get about 40, 50 cases of that. And so, you know, it's got fat, it's got protein, it's got a little bit of carb. So it's not like you're starving to that. It's not those liquid protein diets 20, 30 years ago, which a lot of us tried and almost died because we weren't getting in fact, I look in the ingredients, it's even got vitamins and minerals in it. It's got biotin, it's got folic acid, it's got stuff, potassium. How do you like that, George? So I'm just sucking that stuff up and lost 2 pounds already the first day. Here's a lady in Hialeah. Hello. Lady in Hialeah. Here's a lady in Hialeah. Going once. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
How you doing?
I knew you were there.
I'm here. I just wanted to say that I am a diehard Democrat, and I don't think I'm a whiner. But
yeah.
I have just
first of all, don't just ignore that asshole, because the guy who preceded him was very articulate. He made a lot of good points. He wasn't whining. He was a very bright guy, and he just made his case. And then this childish guy comes out, and nothing in whining already. Look, just don't pay any attention to them. They're like overgrown children.
There are so many loose ends out there, like these absentee ballots. I would love to just let that go forward and see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Don't you think there were some irregularities there? I mean, leaving people.
Well, I don't just think that there were. I know that there were. But how you're ever going to be able to prove all of that with the clock ticking along the way it is? I don't know. Maybe Judge Clark up there. Maybe she's a lot sharper than all the rest of us. We'll see.
And I would like to see what they say about, especially since they tightened our absentee ballot laws, and the voters supposed to request them. How can the governor send out letters to everybody
on his letterhead
and request, say vote from the comfort of your home, and they don't even request the ballots?
Well, he wanted to keep it all in the family, sweetheart.
And and then we got these people in the nursing homes where they were sent 2 or 3 ballots, and they let the other people vote on them because they had extra ones.
Yeah, just spread them around.
And some of them had already died. You know, I mean, I'm sorry that they died, but they shouldn't have used the ballots.
Yeah, but look, dead people voting in Florida is like, it's American as apple pie. It's part of our system. Okay, well, maybe you got a point. Maybe we should just hang on another day or 2.
Yeah, I think we should before we tell them to concede. And I wanted to ask you something about your GERD. Do you find that you have more trouble at night with that? Because I had that.
Not really, as long as you don't eat anything for like at least 3-4 hours before you go to bed.
Well, what I did, I was very lucky. My daughter worked for a company that made foam mattresses, and I had a wedge made.
Right.
That starts way down in the small of your back so you don't break your neck while you're sleeping.
Right.
And you just go up at a gradual angle.
Yeah, that's what they say. Raise up the head of the bed a few inches off the floor.
It's really good. If you can't do that, try one of those wedges. It really helps because.
See, I think that losing the weight. I don't know if you're overweight or not, but in my case, losing the weight's going to help tremendously because when you're overweight, especially when it's all in the middle like mine, your organs first of all become enlarged, and second of all, depending on what position you're sitting or laying in, your organs get squeezed together, so it puts tremendous pressure, and not a good thing.
Well, mine was diagnosed. I had a heart attack, and then I was having these terrible pains, and I assumed it was the heart. And found out a year later that I actually had a hiatal hernia and GERD. But it took a year for them to diagnose that. So I thought I was having, these terrible
heart. That's what I thought.
That's because, especially with the hiatal hernia, that sphincter that you talk about.
Yeah.
That tears, and the acid goes right into your chest. And
yeah,
it really feels like a heart attack.
Okay, well, you hang in there, sweetheart.
I'm doing that.
Okay.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, see, there's more of the great gifts that the Lord has given to us, GERD and IBS and all of these things, and mosquitoes and salamanders and all things that crawl and creep, et cetera, and so on. A lot of crap. The Lord made these. Didn't the Lord make them? Yeah. All you silly religious people. Here's the facts from Overstuffed Sub Company in West Boca. It says your biggest fans in West Boca. How about those Leafs couldn't even get by the lowly Panthers? Ha ha, it says. But what a great game. Yes, it was a great game. And Trevor Kidd was pretty damn good. Yes, Trevor Kidd was not only pretty damn good, but like in the last part of few seconds there after the Leafs tied it late in the game, and then in the last minute of overtime was sensational, spectacular, or they wouldn't have had a Chinaman's chance. And this is the same Trevor Kidd that got ripped for giving up 3 goals to Detroit the other night by his coach who's looking for scapegoats now, whether it's Ray Whitney or Trevor Kidd. Yeah, and you got to make some big saves. But you know something? If you don't score more than 1 goal, which is their usual case, although they didn't get 4 last night, that's a month's quota. But when you don't score more than 1 goal, how's he going to win a game for you, Terry? You jackass. Looking for scapegoats. Once the organization starts looking for more scapegoats, you know that the bus to pick them up on the way out of town can't be too far away. So Terry and Brian, bye. Sorry I missed you at the anniversary party. Here's Miami Beach. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if, the timing and the sequencing of him shutting down the vote here, but my stinking thinking thinks, let's see, Pinellas was called up to Tallahassee, I think, wasn't he? And, Jeb Bush is from Dade County, and a lot of money's come down here, I guess, or grants and whoever, and who knows what backroom dealings. They said, you shut it down, or money ain't coming down from the top boys.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I don't see Jesse Jackson on the TV screen on NBC.
Well, you ought to feel better then.
No, I mean, he was a voice there and for the voters' rights. And
look, we need Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton down here like I need more hemorrhoids, okay? We don't need them here. Let them stick their puss back where it belongs, wherever that is.
Do you think anybody will sue for voters' rights or anything now?
How can you do that?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this. I don't doubt, because we know it's well documented, that there were black people turned away from the polls. There were precincts where white people were voting with just driver's license IDs, and black people who didn't have their voter registration card but did have a driver's license, even though their name was on the rolls, they were told, oh, you can't vote. We know that. But how do you prove it? How do you document it? How do you make a tabulation on that? At this point, anybody can sign an affidavit and say anything they want.
That's right. That's right.
So it's just a question of, with this system of voting in this country has got to be cleaned up.
Well, I think they should have a day off for voting to make it a serious venture.
National holiday. If we can have a national holiday for Groundhog Day and Columbus Day every other goddamn president's birthday, how come we can't have a national, like in most civilized countries, on Election Day?
That's right. Well, listen, I'm going to go fill some teeth. I'll see you later.
Okay, good luck to you. He's going to go lay some gold. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Out-of-town line is open over there on the West Coast because they have nothing to say. You see the result in, I think it was Collier County. That was the big one where like Bush got 50 trillion votes and Gore got about 3, and you wonder why we don't hear from over there? Yeah, you just keep us on over there on 770 though, because otherwise we're gonna have protest in the streets. I'm telling you right now, for you Beasley bastards, which the stock is hovering just like a little over 8 1/4. Here's Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Hey, Neil. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you. I've seen Peter Wexler on TV quite a bit until recently. Where is
Robert
Graham?
Wexler?
I'm sorry. I just saw Bob Graham for like 5 seconds yesterday. Where has he been through all this? And why has he been so quiet?
He's still waiting for Clinton to tell him what time they're going to pick up Alien.
Well, is he like, I heard, I was doing a little internet checking, was he really disappointed because he didn't get the nod for vice presidency? But I just noticed he could have been a little more, out in front of the camera, helping the cause.
I got news for if there would have been anybody who would have been wimpier and weaker than Drew Lieberman, it would have been Bob Graham.
Really?
Although I'll tell you, he would have been a better choice because then probably that would have guaranteed Florida for Gore and they would have won the election. Good point.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Well, seriously, the guy's right. That would have done it. That would have cinched it. Because even though a lot of us were pissed off at Bobby Graham for his grotesque behavior during the Alien stuff, we understand that was Florida politics as they figure they must play it.
Not to mention all the other goober states.
Yeah. That's right, like Georgia and Arkansas and Tennessee, both of which were within 3 points. That's right. Good Southern boy. That's what they like. The Southerners like the Southerners. Don't you understand that? They like the Yahoos, the good old boys like Bobby Graham. He's sufficiently Yahoo, ain't he?
Uh-huh.
You bet. He's a real Yahoo. Real weak job there. Real weak job by the Gore people picking Drew Lieberman. Very sad. You can point at Ralph Nader. You can point at the Cubans. You can point at this group and that group and whatever else. But the fact is that none of those groups picked Drew Lieberman to be the running mate. Gore and his advisors did that. His strategists.
Well, I think you're being a little hard.
Yeah, well, guess what? I think that we had a wonderful discussion and a great dialogue and interchange. Yeah, that debate. I mean, anybody that could make Cheney look like a very reasonable, a rational, a moderate human being, which Lieberman did a brilliant job of doing that, anybody that could do that deserves to lose. But, yeah, and you know, the very same people that are always castigating the Cubans because they vote for the Cuban candidates and they vote based on their own narrow issues. It was the same thing with all these old people marching out there in Palm Beach and elsewhere to vote for, otherwise probably wouldn't even have wasted their time voting because there was a Jew on the ballot. Forget about the fact what kind of Jew he was, but there's a Jew on the ballot. And then adding insult to injury, they can't even get the goddamn vote right.
This is 560 QAM. Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, WQAM.com for the world.
Want a lollipop, little boy?
Good morning. This is Vice President Al Gore. I believe you should know counting has always been an important part of my life. Why, I have always counted things over and over until I get a number I like. For example, on Christmas Day, I would count my presents till the aggregate total reached 23. On my birthday, I would count the candles on my cake, so each year they totaled 22. That's the year I lost my Cherry. Cherry was my dog, and I loved him. So please, understand I am upset over the recent criticism leveled against me regarding this election. I have hired the nation's premier counter to assist in this election process, and his work has already begun.
2,910,847 votes for Gore.
We'll get to the bottom of this, me and the count. Thank you. This is Al Gore.
Okay, it's 11:01 at 560 WQAM. The markets are soaring, and guess who's speaking right now?
The Federal Reserve's November Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey suggests that lending standards and terms have continued to tighten.
Alan Greenspan is speaking.
Boy!
Current economic danger, not as severe now as it was in 98, he says. So hopefully he's going to say something good and not screw up the rally that we're having, because the Dow's up 250 points and the Nasdaq's up 156.5, George. How do you like that? Huh? Here is a fascinating article that somebody just faxed me, and I thank you profusely, from today's Daily Business Review. Wait till you hear this. 2 months after influential developer Armando Codina's July announcement that he planned to buy the 46.1-acre Miami Free Trade Zone, Republican U.S. Representative Lincoln Diaz-Balart introduced a bill in Congress that would save Codina and his partners hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in property taxes in the zone. The bill, which benefits no other foreign trade zone in the country, was filed by Diaz-Balart just 35 days after Codina gave $20,000 in soft money to the Republican National Committee. The Codina Group, which closed the $41 million trade zone deal in early November, contributed another $25,000 to the Republicans last December. And over the last 3 years, Codina and his wife Margarita also gave $4,000 to Diaz-Balart for his reelection campaign. Codina, a Republican Party loyalist for nearly 20 years, developed and sold real estate with Governor Jeb Bush as the Codina Bush Group, and he is one of Florida's 25 Republican presidential electors who pledged to vote for Jeb Bush's brother, George W. Bush, when the Electoral College assembles on December 18. H.R. 5396, amending the Tariff Act of 1930, is only 5 paragraphs long. Should it become law, however, the new language Diaz-Balart has proposed will save Codina's company about $800,000 a year by exempting it from all state property taxes now levied on the Miami Free Zone. Property in the zone is currently assessed at $36.62 million. Let's hear it for Lincoln Diaz-Balart, Armando Codina, Jeb Bushmeister, all these gangster crooks. Yeah. Who the hell are you people kidding? Thank you profusely, whoever faxed that to me this morning from today's Daily Business Review. It just makes you want to get on your hands and knees and puke. 198 votes in our poll. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should concede or exhaust all legal options. Exhaust all legal options, 105, 53%. Concede, 93, 47%. Still pretty damn tight. Here's Miami Lakes. Hello.
I love Bush.
Yeah, good. Go find some. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Out-of-town line is open, of course, 877-785-6345. Thousands of open lines here this morning now. We better keep this thing going. Like I said, don't concede, Al. We need another few days we can squeeze out of this, at least till the holidays. Here's a mobile in Pembroke Park. Hello.
Hey, Neil, I'm not mobile, but that's okay.
Here's a stationary in Pembroke Park.
I'll
like
get up
I
and I'll
said.
walk around that way.
Okay.
I'm mobile. Couple things I wanted to ask. Even if this judge in Seminole County declares those 15,000 absentee ballots invalid,
Yes.
throws them out,
the
legislature can still appoint the representatives or the electors for Bush.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, but don't you understand how grotesque that would be? Because if she does throw the votes out, then that takes away 4,700 votes from Bush, and that means Gore's ahead by like over 4,000 at that point.
I understand
Now,
that, but I don't think
you really think that the Florida legislature would have the political balls to go ahead and overturn a 4,000 vote margin?
I think they would.
If the Florida Supreme Court upheld that ruling by Judge Clark, assuming that she hands that ruling down and throws those votes out, I don't think so. There's no way. You'd have riots in this state.
I don't think you'd have the riots, but I don't think that.
Why do you say that? Do you think that the public would sit still for that?
I don't think they would sit still, but there wouldn't be anything they could do about it. Look at the way they've been going about the things now. Okay, you're not going to ever have a voter legislation to ease voting or voter reform.
That's not true. Why do you say that?
None of the political parties would want it, because then they have no way of being able to push the ballots towards one way or the other if they have the reform. I really don't think that it would ever occur.
Yeah.
That they would make it or use the electronic data machines here in South Florida or anything else, because they wouldn't have any way to possibly fix the election if they had to. Also, I don't think you're ever going to see a non-Hispanic as a mayor in Dade County anymore.
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, why
and
would
that's
you?
a crying shame.
Yeah, but take a look at the population.
I understand.
You got 56% Hispanic population in Dade County. Who do you expect is going to get in?
But there's just as many Anglos that I feel would be qualified.
Would be qualified. Yeah, but that's not how people vote.
Well, I understand that.
The Anglos show up and vote.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Neal, I appreciate
and let me remind you again that in the last election, when Pinellas got in without even a runoff, he won a majority of the Anglo vote in Dade County. So what does that tell you?
Well, that was before he went and hid here and buried his head.
Yeah, but it was long after he stood up there and then defied the federal government and ripped Janet Reno an ass and made a jackass by pandering to the old green-toothed Cubans on the alien business. It was long after that, and they still voted for him. You see, I've said it for years, sir.
Then that's just voter stupidity.
The people in Dade County get exactly what they deserve. Just kiss the ground. You live in Broward.
Then that's just voter apathy.
No, Stu, you had it right the first time.
Okay.
Stupidity. Have a great day. State officials said yesterday they're ready to start looking at voter fraud, an announcement that came the same day a judge threw out Al Gore's election challenge, partly because Democrats failed to prove fraud. The state divisions of elections will refer 7 cases of possible fraud to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement within the next day or two, said Christy Bronson, the division's assistant general counsel. The criminal referrals probably come too late to affect the outcome of one of the most hotly contested presidential races in history. Bronson said there's been no delay in processing the complaints made to the state's voter fraud hotline, but Florida has yet to follow up on some written complaints of voter irregularities, and dozens of other complaints won't be reviewed because telephone callers didn't give specific enough information. There were thousands of cases of fraud. But like I said before, at this point, the horse is already out of the barn and 20 miles up the road. And to try to prove them now, to try to document them, and to try to know, I mean, people can come along now and make any claim that they want. I know my vote sure didn't count. I just made that up, but I'll say it again. My vote didn't count because my ballot didn't have any holes in it. I just kept punching and punching and punching, those old ladies sitting there. 5670560, pound 560. Look at this. The Dow is up 265, and the Nasdaq's up 170 points.
Oh!
Do you think that I actually may, for once in my life, my timing, because it's just a matter of luck. They always say that people who try to time the market, forget about it. You can't do it. Even Warren Buffett, all these so-called experts, you just can't do it. You have to have a crystal ball. You have to get that tarot card reader on there, and you still can't do it. But maybe just finally, after all of, and I should mention that Xerox is $4. Now see, that's my anniversary gift for the Rimmers, for both of them. Is not ripping Rimmer and his brother-in-law for giving me that big song to dance about Xerox that I bought at 25, 1,000 shares, which is now $4, and well on the way to bankruptcy. I don't want to mention on the air that I called my good close friend Mitch Hirsch yesterday and said, well, what do you think? It's $5. Should we buy another 1,000 shares? How much lower can it go? And he said, no, they could go belly up. And all this business about, well, somebody's going to come along and buy them out. The problem is they got so much goddamn debt, nobody wants to buy them out. Because it costs a lot of money for those old Roman togas. How do you like that? I think we probably got a Canon copier, don't we? 9 minutes after 11 at 560 WQM.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
Well, he's the king of the party, yeah, a DC VIP. He's such a boy, but that Al Gore, he's a hero to me. Well, he wants to keep them counting until they get it right. Don't hit the brakes, do what it takes, yeah, he's ready to fight. Oh, I want to be like you. I want to walk like you, talk like you, it's true. Al Gore, like Pinocchio, I know for sure. Then someday you'll be human too.
I believe I am human. I have human emotions, unlike George W., who does not.
Well, he's the king of the party, yeah, a Texas VIP. Turning worse to mush, that George Bush, he's a hero to me. Well, he wants to stop the counting, 'cause he's in the lead. He fried his brain on the party train with that wacky weed. Oh, I wanna be like you. I wanna walk like you, talk like you, it's true. Oh, hey, George Bush, all you need is just a little push, and you could be our leader, too.
11:14 at 560 WQM. Seminole ballot case may hinge on 1996 ruling, says the Orlando Sentinel today. 4 years ago, employees in the Volusia County Elections Office altered 6,000 absentee ballots, remaking them with a felt-tipped pen because the machine couldn't read the marks made by voters. The loser in the race for sheriff, Gus Beckstrom Jr., sued. The case went to the Florida Supreme Court. The justices harshly criticized Volusia Supervisor of Elections Deanie Lowe for what happened, but they didn't throw out the votes in that race. Incumbent Sheriff Bob Vogel held on to his win. 4 years later, lawyers and legal experts predict the ruling in the Volusia case signals what is likely to happen in the lawsuit over Seminole County's 15,000 absentee ballots. Longwood Democrat Harry Jacobs is asking they all be thrown out. If he prevails, it could tip the election to Al Gore. Gerald Richmond, Jacobs' attorney, said Monday that he hadn't analyzed the Beckstrom case, but legal experts have been saying for weeks that Jacobs is unlikely to win. Will this bird fly? In my view, no way, said Don Widener, a Jacksonville attorney who represented Beckstrom. In the Volusia case, the court ruled that elections officials don't have to be perfect. All they have to do is substantially comply with the law, said Donald Lively, dean of Florida Coastal School of Law in Jacksonville. That'll be one of the key issues before State Circuit Judge Nikki Clark, who's scheduled to preside over the Seminole case tomorrow in Tallahassee. A pretrial hearing is scheduled today at 1:30. Attorneys for Seminole Supervisor of Elections Sandy Gore are expected to ask the case be dismissed. Gore allowed GOP employees to work for 3 weeks out of a back room in her office, writing in voter ID numbers on postcards from voters requesting absentee ballots. That don't sound too promising, does it, George?
No.
No. Our poll on our website, neilrogers.com. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should either concede or exhaust all legal options, and it's still tighter than a muskrat's rectum. Concede, 109, 48%. Exhaust all legal options, 119, 52% out of 228 votes already. Very tight. Look at that. The Dow is just hinging on being up 300 points. What did I tell you? Timing was perfect. Nice going. And that Xerox, well, nobody's perfect, Rimmer. Especially you. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Neil, how are you?
Okay.
Okay, a couple things. Was listening to NPR yesterday, and they said that if the Florida legislature decides to go ahead and elect their own slate of electors, that there's also democratically controlled states that can do the same. You know, instead of, you know, like West Virginia was won by Bush, they can say, well, screw you. This is contingent upon, of course, if Seminole gets overthrown, which I don't think it's gonna. But that's what they said. They had Diaz Ballard on there yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to it or not, but he made.
No, I never listened to him.
Okay, well,
Ever.
It was like a forum. You know, there was a Democrat, there was a Republican, and they were letting people call in. So it was pretty interesting. But anyway, that's what they were mentioning, that if the Florida legislature decides to go ahead and do that, that they can overturn some of their own electors in other states. So just keep that in mind.
Well, is anybody in other states like West Virginia talking about that, or any of the state legislatures floating that?
No, they weren't. No, but that's what the Democrat.
Because it would seem to me that they really take a great political risk by doing that, because they would be, you know, flaunting the will of the voters in their own state.
Right. Well, that's what they were saying. If the Florida legislature here goes ahead and does that without the courts being, you know, dissolved, whatever happens with the court case, if they do that before the court case gets dissolved, that's what they could do. That's what they're saying. Just as, like, you know, got you there, we can get you back here. That's I don't know if it makes any sense, but that's what they were talking about.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Okay, we won't. But anyway, Gore sucks.
Okay.
I mean, Bush sucks.
Okay.
Bush sucks.
Well, I think you got it right. He says Gore sucks and Bush sucks. Do we agree with both? Yeah. See, there was a slip of the tongue, but I think God made him do it. Who made him do it?
Yeah, God.
Yeah, you're right. They both suck. That's why we're in this mess that we're in right now, because the country's right down the middle, undecided on which one is the most dangerous, which one is the least stupid, which one is the least wooden. Is it warm in here, or is it my imagination? Feels like somebody's been tossing around with the AC. It's warm in here, trust me. Look at that. The Dow is up 322 points up to, it's getting close to 10,900, and the NASDAQ's up 198, almost, it's over 2,800 again. We only got 2,400 points to go on the NASDAQ to get back to the high, 2,300 points. Nice going, Mitch. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Neil.
Buenos to you.
Neil, man, I'm really sorry what's happening to Al Gore. He's only going to be the one left without a job. Think about it. Lieberman's going to be in the Senate. Bush is going to be your president.
Yeah.
And Cheney is going to be your vice president.
Yeah, but I hear there's an opening at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Maybe Al can fill it. He can fill the gap.
I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for him. What's going to happen to this poor cooperative?
Well, send him some money, pal. Send him some money. Okay. Speaking of that, the Sun Sentinel has an AP article here, and for some strange reason they don't put in the websites. Maybe somebody in the audience will call or will fax to us what they are. It says, Gore site soliciting donations. With the fight over recounting Florida's presidential ballots entering its fourth week, Vice President Al Gore's campaign has begun a new fundraising effort. The Gore campaign took in $3 million within a few days after Election Day, then stopped its fundraising. But the campaign's website now features a plea for more money. Its first fundraising on the Internet for the recount battle. George W. Bush's campaign already has raised more than $6 million for its recount expenses, and its website asks supporters to keep giving. In seeking contributions, the Gore website says the money helps us pay for legal representation, as well as the hundreds of monitors and support staff needed to oversee the recount effort. Under federal law, there are no limits to the size of the donations for the legal fight, and the parties do not have to identify their contributors. Corporate and union contributions are prohibited. The Gore campaign is not limiting the size of its contributions, but promises to disclose the names of its donors. Bush is not accepting donations larger than $5,000 and is posting the names of his contributors on the web. He's received thousands of small contributions beside the four-figure donations. It's a nice article, but it doesn't give either one of the websites. Because I'm sure a lot of you folks out there
Only $50.
would like to write out a check for either one of the above or both or whatever. Or maybe for George because it's his birthday tomorrow. And he still hasn't got a summer book bonus yet. And you better get that one because as far as the fall book is concerned, well, here's Miami. Hello.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Okay, good. Have another one for us. Thank you. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. That was another Bush guy, by the way. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Two comments.
Okay.
Number one, the Orlando case that you spoke about, I don't know the details of the facts, but what you read said that the supervisor election herself or himself did it in the office. In the Seminole case, it involves outside Republican operatives coming in that committed felonies. Even a couple of the Republican guys say it.
Uh-huh.
There's quite a difference.
Okay.
And, of course, we have two things for the young to consider. You know, you can drink and carouse until you're 42, and then you can run for president. At the same time, you can commit fraud and get an election thrown out, and there's no problem, even though the laws were changed. And finally, Neil, I would recommend that since it's so easy to do because of the shape of Florida, we circumcise the southern Dade County from Florida and let it float toward Cuba.
The foreskin, toss the foreskin south.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Take it easy, kid.
Maybe Castro can have it for supper. 567. Well, now you're laughing, but over in Spain, at the bullfights, I don't want to tell you what one of the great delicacies over there. That's no bull. 567-0560. Maybe the abuelas were looking for a little breakfast or something when they were down here, checking things out. 567-0560. I'm telling you, there's something with line 1. Did you hear that? Oh, no. Okay, I'm a little torn on that one. Because they do call, but then they vanish the last couple of days. Our phone system is like deteriorating and degrading. But some stuff he's not worried about it.
Get off this instant.
Yeah. Did I mention about Bill Tanner's quadruple bypass? I don't think I did. Bill Tanner, our consultant. Anybody remember Bill Tanner from Y100?
No.
He's, where the hell is this story? It was also in the story by our close personal friend Kevin Bastard in the Herald, who writes this big puff piece about Eric Brandon, disc jockey at Magic. No, Eric Brandon with that big phony plastic voice?
No.
Plays oldies on Magic. Well, he wanted to run for mayor of Miami Lakes, which is a job that pays $2,000 a year. And the FCC told him, just like they told Howard when he wanted to run for mayor of New York, well, that's fine, you can go ahead and do that, but you'll have to get off the air because otherwise you owe equal time. And he said, okay, I guess I'll stay on the air and forget about mayor of Miami Lakes for $2,000 a year. Big puff piece about that. Big deal, Eric. But here it says, Bill Tanner, a radio legend in South Florida, is recovering from quadruple bypass surgery performed after Thanksgiving in his hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. A popular morning DJ and program director at Y100 in the 70s and 80s, Tanner was part of the team that helped launch Power 96 as a music station. He's currently Executive Vice President of Programming for Miami-based Spanish Broadcasting System, as well as consultant to many English-language stations, including Power. And you left out QAM, Kevin, but then again, you would have had to mention us, and you didn't want to do that. That's okay. That's okay, Kevin Bastard. At least he owns a radio, we think. Here's a mobile in West Palm Beach. Hello.
Neil.
What is it?
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm calling you. Let you know there's a billboard up here in West Palm, and it says "Prevent Voter Fraud," and half of it's torn down. You can't even read the number.
Yeah.
I just think it's not a conspiracy theory.
Okay, thanks. Probably the Bilderbergers did. Don't you think so? Or maybe the Illuminati. 567. We got 400 open lines again. They're all petering out today. That's okay. I'll play that hockey highlight over and over again from last night's game. Pretty damn exciting there, Joe Bowen. Next time, get the name right, Joe. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Oh, we actually have a call from Naples? That's exciting. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
We told the Beasley over here that we got to have you on the air. We're drowning in a sea of fascism.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know we got 12,000 more votes. You should read the story on Salon.com.
No.
Yeah. Kathy Harris hired a firm to purge the voter rolls of felons.
Oh, yeah. That's the old story. Yeah, we had that many days ago, yeah.
No, it's a new story.
No, it's not. It's not a new story. Let me say it again, sir. It's an old story. It's an old story. Don't tell me it's a new story. It's an old story from weeks ago. Remember that story about that? And about 8,000 have managed to get back on there, but another 4,000 did not? See, one thing about you people over on the West Coast, I have no idea why you listen to this program, because you can't tell you people anything. I tell them one thing, we had it a couple of weeks ago, without getting argumentative. No, it's a new story. It's not a new freaking story, in addition to which, it's old news, like I said. Get a life over there. Of course, you got to understand where they are, the pony. By the time he gets over there, it's like weeks later, usually. And who the hell can blame him? Just like that's one of the reasons our checks show up here late so much. That pony gets broken down somewhere along the goddamn Hershey Highway. God, are they something on the West Coast. And, I'm glad we're on over there, because it makes me feel so much better about being here. And there are a few things that do that for me, but that's one thing that does, is not being there. Woo! Rhymes with Yahoo! 26 after 11 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
How young is too young?
Tell me that you love my eyes, but I know that you keep on checking out my eyes. Don't blame you 'cause I'm very cute. I'm underage.
All right.
17. You should be scared of me. 'Cause you could go to jail if you sleep with me. If I scream, you end up praising me. She looks 25, but she's just 13. Perfect teeth, I bet my lips are sweet. Daddy called the cops last night. My breasts are perfect to me because I've had such a ring. None of my skirts reach my knees. My butt just hangs right round of my shoulder.
Recounts.
Okay. You should be scared of her. Scared of me? The Rolling Stones grenades and dynamite. What a sight. She's looking mighty fine. She looks 25, but she's just a teen.
Remember what Jeff Cole was talking about last time he was in here with Foods from the Pizza Loft? He was talking about those underage chicks in Costa Rica.
I didn't say
Oh, yeah, right. Here's a fax from Frank that says, I'm glad you got my fax earlier. Please tell George I'm sorry I forgot to say happy birthday. Happy birthday, George, from Frank. By the way, your keychain is awesome. And guess what? They're all gone. If you ordered one on the internet, don't panic. It'll get to you because they've already been set aside for the orders. But other than that, they're gone. I told you. I warned you. I warned you. But our Best of Neil CDs and cassettes, of course, are still available from NeilRogers.com or WQAM.com or at Specs all over Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, and Naples and Fort Myers. And we better get that damn thing going. Anybody see Miguel lately? Because I don't know what our total is. It would be nice, you know, weekly at least. Once a week would be nice to get
Maybe
a
he's
total.
going to the Air Awards like everybody else in the building is today.
You have to be kidding.
Did you notice all the suits?
Well, I asked Bluff what he was all dressed up for. Oh, it's the Air Awards. You have to be joking me. This radio station is going to the Air Awards?
Hank's up for an award. I think he won one.
This radio station, Miguel's here. He's not getting no award. He's just looking for a paycheck. But this place that puts commercials on there, hey, go buy a car, distorted crap with voices from hell. We're starting to put voices on it like make Lenny Martez sound like Walter Cronkite. Yeah. That's the kind of crap we put on the air here. We got little kids that sound like high school kids doing sports reports, little jock sniffers who have chronic gambling problems already, and we're getting a goddamn award? You have to be joking me. Oh, that's right. Hank's getting that award. Now, is that part of this thing today?
I don't know.
And they're going, well, that's right. That's why Boog is on today. I thought maybe Hank had a real day off today. No, he's,
hey, stupid!
Getting that award. He's actually showing up for it? God, he's catching on for me. He's finding any way to get a day off. Nice going, Humper.
So why are the March of Dimes radio experts?
Because there's no more polio anymore, so they have to have something to do. Damn Jonas Salk, then they put them out of business. Is there polio anymore? I mean,
No.
where? Huh?
No, not if you don't want it.
Oh. So what else are they going to do?
But who are they to give out awards for broadcasting?
In addition to which, when it comes to nickels and dimes, what better place than they can choose than this place? You ought to know that. I think line one is screwed up, and of course I could sit here and scream about the phone lines, but Bluff has got another busman's holiday because, he's at the radio awards.
Get off this instant.
Here's a mobile implantation. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing today?
Okay.
I'm trying to figure something out. When Judge Sauls in Tallahassee ruled that
Yes,
there was
sir.
not enough evidence for Gore to start counting the vote, isn't the evidence the ballots that he never looked at?
Well, Evan, not according to him.
But
Don't confuse him with those ballots.
okay. And the other question I have is this Judge Nikki Taylor in Seminole. If she rules,
Nikki Taylor? Yeah.
well, is that then not her name?
I hear she's going to have Robbie Niedermeyer counting the votes up there. Then maybe they can get the two of them together again because he ain't playing too much hockey.
No, but if she rules that all the ballots are thrown out because of the tampering,
Right.
they go. Bush's team goes right to
Florida Supreme Court, right.
and that's where. So everything is basically going to be decided in the Florida Supreme Court. Is that correct?
Which they both sides knew that all along.
So that this was just a delay tactic just to get it up there.
Sure. Well, I mean, they're not the ones that filed this lawsuit, but, I mean, all of these things have to go through the process, and the longer that they dick around and screw around, that's why they called as many witnesses as they could without making it too embarrassing in the case before Judge Saul's up there, because then it dragged out, instead of being done on Friday or Saturday, it dragged it out through the whole weekend.
Right. I call someone a douchebag?
Sure, go ahead. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T. And Verizon, let's see, Greenspan said the Fed must be alert to risk spending may be slowing too much, which means that they're going to cut those interest rates soon.
Not enough people investing.
Not enough people investing. Weak equity markets could signal excessive softness in household spending, which means, I told you, that's why I crossed that thing out. Hank was right yesterday. That damn Todd Dreck brings us that spot about a recession. We're not having no recession. I crossed that out. I mean, it's one thing to try to peddle our stuff on the air, which is fine. Everybody's got to make a living. But don't be putting scare tactics into our spots and expecting us to read that on the air. Hank, to his credit, crossed it out yesterday, refused to read it, and I did the same today. Todd Dreck. If anybody ever lived up to his name, man, truth in advertising, Todd Dreck. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T line. Fort Myers, hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Gay pasta.
Yeah. Xerox, $4.50.
Hey, well, it goes up, it goes down, and, squeeze it, Hey, man, the record is skipping. Push the tone arm, man. Bye.
Yeah, okay. That's the same asshole that called before. Push this, okay?
Rectum.
In fact, you know what would be a real good idea with that guy? Yeah. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon Wireless. Almost every line on the board is open now. Look at that. Okay, game over. How's the poll coming? Well, it'll kill about 10 seconds. If it's reloading now. It says, now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should concede 122, 45%, exhaust all legal options, 149, 55%. Beginning it was very, very tight, but as the show goes on, more of those hardliners, more of those holdouts, they say, what's another day or two? After we've waited this long, after we've gone through all this legal haranguing, what's another big day or two? And maybe they got a point. Or maybe not. I voted concede. I think it's time to get all of this shenanigans behind us. We know that it was stolen fair and square, and life will have to go on, that's all. We'll have to deal with it in other ways. Here's a mobile in Coral Springs. Hello.
Hi, Neil. How you doing?
Okay, sir.
Good. I had a serious question for you. The problem that I'm having with a lot of what's going on, and I guess I should ask you, is the Orlando Sentinel known as a conservative newspaper?
Sure.
It is. Okay. Well, that may explain part of what my question is about. There's no consequences for voter fraud. Then let's just all do it. I mean, what we're talking about, Seminole and Martin County.
Wait a minute. The Orlando Sentinel, I would say like a moderate to conservative paper, but the fact is, they didn't make that up for political purposes. They're just reporting a story. That wasn't an editorial.
Okay, but the idea with the story is that in the past there's been precedent that nothing is done when voter fraud occurs, such as what we've had this year.
Well, no, they're speculating. The people that they were talking to are speculating on what may happen, and they're saying that based on what happened in Volusia County 4 years ago, there's a strong possibility that they may go back to that as a precedent.
Right. But I mean,
that doesn't make it a bad newspaper. In fact, quite frankly, it beats what we got here.
Well, I appreciate that, but the fact remains the same, that there has to be some consequences for fraud.
Right.
And if they can
prove
it.
Well, I mean, just the one line in there where it says the court ruled that elections, and this is the Florida Supreme Court, elections officials don't have to be perfect. All they have to do is substantially comply with the law. Well, first of all, she didn't comply with the law because there were felonies being committed. But secondly, what kind of a law is that? In other words, as long as they don't do too much bad crap, then it's okay.
Right. I mean, I'm able to put this aside, whether it be Gore or Bush,
right.
And I say this is just plain wrong.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Neil.
Have a great day. Yeah, but these are the law and order people. Don't you understand that? How are those dimples coming in Texas? They still counting those? Good. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon Wireless line. Don't forget, Alan Greenspan said you better call up your broker and buy with both hands, baby. Especially that Nokia, man. That thing is hot. It's taken off. What did I tell you, folks? Taken off. It's skyrocketing. And Cisco, I said to that Mitch Hirsch, I said, what about Cisco? I asked him about each of the stocks I bought the other day, and he went, like that. I said, buy it, asshole. Okay. See, he likes that Chitrick stuff. He likes stocks that it's easier to deal with those small numbers.
Get the best of Neil Rogers 2000.
A benefit for Planned Parenthood.
Just go to a Specs music store near you or WQAM.com on the net. The best of Neil 2000 with great hits like...
So, Paula Jones, you got a new nose. That don't impress me much.
And who could forget the Neil Rogers keychain with great sound effects like...
It puts the lotion in the basket.
That's the American fucking way.
Oh, those timeless classics. The best of Neil Rogers 2000 from Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Florida sucks. Recent court rulings concerning the sexual orientation of scoutmasters has made it nearly impossible for the average parent to know what kind of scouting experience their son can expect. But one organization has arisen to make things perfectly clear. The Gay Scouts.
Okay, troops, time to set up camp. But I've been pitching a tent for hours.
The Gay Scouts will teach your son the art of self-preservation in the wild.
Aw, man, this match won't light. How are we going to get this fire going?
That's okay. We can make our own body heat.
When your son joins the Gay Scouts, he'll hear late-night ghost stories.
And when the severed body was found, he was wearing a Donna Karan ensemble with clashing the pelt that had been out of season since Labor Day.
Oh, that was the scariest thing I ever heard.
So if you want your son to bond with other like-minded young men, have him join the Gay Scouts today, where our motto is...
Be prepared to trust yourself.
It's 11:45 at 560 WQM. Luke Shelby will be here for Hank at 2 because the Humpers getting that radio award from the March of Dimes, no less. You know, I don't want to say it. Geldy on, what is that? No, that's tomorrow night. We got that game, the Islanders here against the Panthers. I want to make a prediction, by the way, because I know it's been coming for a long time, but I just have this feeling that if the Panthers lose to the Islanders tomorrow night, which should be pretty unacceptable and unlikely, but if that should happen, I think that's it. I think that all of us who are getting real tired of the Murray Borzak can say, bye. That should happen tomorrow. I think that'll be the straw that broke their back. Anyway, we got Boog at 2. We got Boog with Lamar Thomas at 5. Mad Dog Mandich, 6 o'clock tonight, making a rare appearance, and Eddie K at 10. Scouts sue the school board. Action follows ban on organization, accusing the Broward School Board of a blatant form of viewpoint discrimination. The Boy Scouts of America has asked a federal judge to halt the organization's imminent eviction from the district's 215 schools and centers. That is one of the most ludicrous terms I've ever heard in my life. Viewpoint discrimination. See, what they don't understand is that everybody with any common sense at all has said, you have a right to be bigoted, you have the right to exclude anybody you want, but that means that we don't have to give you any public funds, number one, and number two, we certainly aren't going to allow you to use any public facilities that are paid for by the taxpayers. The Boy Scouts filed suit in U.S. District Court Miami yesterday against the school board, Superintendent Frank Till, and each of the board's 9 members, charging them with violating the organization's First Amendment rights of access to an open forum, in this case government-operated school facilities. No date's been set yet for a hearing. Attorneys representing the Scouts say they believe it's the first time the 92-year-old organization has sued a school district. Now here comes the best part. We believe the Broward School District is singling out the Boy Scouts because they've taken exception to our First Amendment right to freedom of association, said Jeff Herman, Scout Executive for the South Florida Council of Boy Scouts, which oversees troops in Broward, Miami-Dade, and Monroe counties. Our right to freedom of association. So really if there is really a freedom of association for organizations like this, which are quasi-public, so it's often been said, then they would have a right to exclude blacks, Jews, Chinese, Japanese, Mexicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Eskimos, anybody they want. Well, we just don't want to associate with them. The First Amendment right to freedom of association. You see, as an individual, you have a right to associate with anybody you want. And even as a group, you have a right to associate with anybody you want, unless you expect to get public funds or use public facilities. In which case, the answer is very clearly no way. The Broward School Board unanimously voted to do their thing. I feel very comfortable with my decision in light of the contract they executed of their own volition that said they would not discriminate based on sexual orientation, School Board Chairman Paul Eichner said. Is the school board going to cave in? No, of course not. No chance. In New York, schools Chancellor Harold Levy on December 1st ordered New York City public schools to quit sponsoring Boy Scout activities. The policy prohibits the school district from sponsoring troops or allowing recruiting during school hours, but the Scouts will be able to use school property for troop meetings after hours, unfortunately. In Los Angeles, on November 28th, the LA City Council voted to sever all ties with the Boy Scouts and to charge them fees to use city-owned property. In Framingham, Massachusetts, the school district in September banned Boy Scouts from recruiting in the schools, and in Canton, Plymouth, Michigan, the school district is considering a measure to ban the Scouts entirely from school property before and after school.
Oh!
But you're messing with our right to our freedom of association. That line right there tells you everything you need to know, and it brings me back full cycle 24 years ago to Anita Bryant and Alvin Dark and all those other Farbis and Nagoyim, our freedom, our right to discriminate. Those are the exact words they were using. Our right to discriminate. Has anybody seen Anita lately?
No.
No. She's still squeezing it, and the orange juice too. Only not getting paid for it. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think you better accept that.
Yeah, okay. Go drink some more moonshine, okay, pal? Or go hang out with Mike Moonshine, whichever makes you happy, whichever turns you on. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. I think it's going to be see, the phone is screwed up. Line 2 doesn't say where it is, and this whole phone thing is all dicked up. Here's Sunrise. Hello.
Yeah, when's your fag show?
Okay, yeah, they're out there now. That's all we're going to get. Here's Fort Myers. Hello.
Yeah, I got a quick political poem for you.
Okay, good. 567-0560. Pound 560. Yeah, well, this is the moment. You know, I'm always saying this because you can feel it, you can smell it. This is the moment the well ran dry. So I say it's definitely time to concede. Huh? No, you can tell. We're rolling along day after day, and then all of a sudden you reach a moment like this, and that's it. They're out of material.
The economy's coming back. The show.
That's right. Dow is up 285. NASDAQ's up 203 points, and that's it. They're on the phone with their broker saying it's time to...
Buy!
I agree. It's a lot more important to call your broker and buy a whole bunch of stock than to be calling me. I would agree with that. Because I got some great European music I'm going to be playing here, and maybe even some American music that I like that you'll probably most of you hate. That's too bad. That's the way it goes. We'll see you. 567. It's too hot in here, George. I'm telling you right now. It's like about 73 degrees in here, and the air ain't even blowing. And, man, when it's not blowing, I start getting real nervous. Okay, let's see if we have anybody. See, line 2 still don't say where it's from because this phone thing is all messed up. In fact, maybe the phone is screening things out so that we only get assholes on because it's worked for about 20 minutes real well. Here's line 2 somewhere. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
If I can say one thing, Neil, that I think that this whole thing with Judge Sauls and the rest of this stuff, I agree with you. It may be time for him to concede. I don't have a problem if he keeps on going. But I believe that one message that Sauls is giving us as a community, Republicans and Democrats together, is when it's all over, this band of high-priced lawyers and politicians is going to leave town, and who's going to be left? All the little people. And I think his judgment is a signal to people, let's band together as a community because Florida's looking bad enough as it is, and it's time for us to show these highfalutin people that, guess what? The guys can do it right. Human error is there, yes. Nobody's perfect, but I think if this happened in any other state, it would be as bad or worse. So let's band together as a community.
So that was the message that the judge was sending?
I believe that that's the theme. I think that's a theme, whether you agree with it or not, okay, it's a theme that at the end of all this, guess what? He, throughout this court thing, which I watched a bit of it, I think he, was proud of some of these simple people there, whether they be backwoods people, whatever. Nonetheless, they're all part of our community, and they did the best that they could under the circumstances. And I don't believe anybody anywhere in the country could have done any better. We're just regular people doing our stuff, trying to get it right. Unfortunately, you want to play law against fact, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? You want to play law against fact? Well, it wasn't right when O.J. got off, and maybe it's not right.
Okay, well, thanks for your tremendously well-thought-out theory there. Oh, my God. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T. And see, these are the people who voted. Like I've told you before. And there's nothing wrong with being dumb. There's a lot of dumb people out there. Many of them are very nice. I mean, there's some people that are dumber than sawdust and they're very nice. And some of them even look pretty good. And when they look real good, you don't care how smart they are, do you?
No.
No, of course not. Not necessarily. All depends on how much time you want to spend on them, with them, near them. But, I mean, let's face it, this idea that we have so many morons out there voting, it just should be terrifying and stupefying, if I can say that. Can I say it?
No.
Sorry. Here's a call from Hallandale. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Okay, something very interesting happened today. Joe Lieberman was interviewed on CNN. I don't think you saw the interview.
I saw a little bit of it. I put his puss on the air for about 10 seconds, as I would say.
But he said something that really made a lot of sense, and here's what he said. He said that if Bush is elected president, and if the votes, the disputed votes are not counted now, let's say, they all go against Al Gore, and say George Bush is sworn in as president.
He will be, yes.
Did you hear what Lieberman said? Lieberman said that sooner or later, those votes that were not counted will be counted.
That's not a bulletin. We've talked about that for days now, and so have a lot of other people. I mean, maybe Lieberman's a little bit slow. Maybe it's Alabaz getting to him, but it's the old news.
But how does that affect? I mean, how would the country feel that they elected a president that really didn't win the election?
Now, what it would do would bring a lot more bad will to Bush and the Republican Party, but maybe that's not a bad thing.
Maybe it's not, but I just thought
when you steal election, you deserve to have bad will. So what's wrong with that? I'd rather have bad will than George will.
No, I would too. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that to you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
I'm glad he's finally catching up with reality, that G. Lieberman. Here's a great article by Bob Herbert in the New York Times about Tom DeLay. We'll get to that after the news break. See, now the AIRS Act, did I say the news break? Boy. Oh, God, I must be losing it. Wow, the news break. At a radio station where we don't even have a goddamn newswire. And thanks profusely to all you people who have been, especially during the election, but all the time, faxing me all of this good stuff during the Alien days and during any time there's anything important going on. We got a whole bunch of listeners out there who fax me great stuff, and I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Because other than that, and this TV that we got in here, thanks to Jeff Cohen, and the satellite dish, thanks to
Digital World Satellite.
Digital World Satellite. Other than that, we got no contact with the outside. We don't even have a goddamn window. Because that's the Beasley and the Greg Reed effing way. And, of course, they're not hearing that because they're too busy getting awards today. Oh, yeah. Probably get some awards for those great spots. Especially those red Ruffin sore spots. Those are my favorite. Oh, God. 567-0560, pound 560. You know what I would like before the day ends today? I'd like to talk to a real person on in the West Coast on that 770 thing. Of course, it's almost noon, so we're going off the air there in 5 minutes for an hour. But just like once today, we had so many assholes from over there, at least 3 or 4, because that's all the calls we got from there. But just one. There's got to be somebody over there who doesn't sound like a mugwump. Don't they all sound like mugwumps? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all right. Those are all right people.
Or maybe they got 1 or 2 teeth. That's T-E-E-F, for those who don't be spelling too well. 1 or 2 teeth in their mouth.
They're just good old boys.
Yeah. See, that's what happens to you when you spend too much time with your banjo up in the tree. You start talking like that and sounding like that? Yeah, just like that. It's 11:56 at 560 QAM.
This is 560 QAM. Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale. A Beasley broadcast station and WQAM.com for the world.
Were you fudge packing?
Yes.
This is the year that I'm gonna get smart, yeah. The holiday frenzy has already started. Think you're ever gonna see my face in the crowd? Pushing and shoving, don't think so, pal. Oh, not on your life. Ain't gonna be a no-store. That's what my computer's here for. Those are lazy-ass way and shop online. Not on your life. Will I budge an inch never? Now I don't have to hit 'em all ever. I can click a mouse and hear the sign. Not on your life.
12 noon at 560 WQAM. So Miguel just hands me the total for Planned Parenthood in our Best Of campaign this year. 66,580, and then there's some others that haven't been cleared yet, the credit cards and so on. So we're approaching 70 grand, and I said to him, we got a good shot at 100. And he looked at me like that. But December is usually huge, right?
Yes.
because Best of Neil CDs and cassettes and T-shirts, etc., are fantastic gifts for the holidays, for Christmas and Hanukkah and Groundhog Day and whatever else we got.
So you're used to these high totals from the other place where all the other shows had also products and were contributing and it was being promoted all day long?
No. Even without that, we still, just with our Best of Neil stuff, did a lot more than that on IOD. But that was like on an almost real radio station. This is just a, make-believe place, and we're doing the best that we can. Does this total include all those great, generous donations we've gotten from the management here? Oh, forgot about those. Yeah, the website, and you know something, to show you how slow it is and how weak you people are? I mean, this is just, it tears my guts out. Because every year we work feverishly to put together some really funny and great stuff on the CDs, and the keychains were great. They went like hotcakes, and we should have had more of them, I should point out.
We went over budget making as many as we did.
Well, why didn't you tell me about that, Miguel? I would have put up the extra money.
We had to get your approval just to get as many as we did. We got 500 more than we did last year.
Yeah, and we should have gotten 1,000 more. They would go. That would be another 20 grand. But at any rate, we got about 67 grand, give or take. But the website, $22,980. And I sat down here this morning. I thought the next, whatever they buy, CD or cassette, $20, will put us over the next hurdle, like to 23,000. Has that happened?
No.
The 2 hours that I've sat here?
No.
No. Very sad. Specs, 17,740. Van hits, 15,860. Too bad we don't have any more people to help Miguel in our promotion department, but that might cost some money. Because we could have a lot more of those van appearances, 15,860. And, of course, my contribution of 10 grand, which I would say is pretty generous as usual to get the thing started. So we got a long way to go. So get out to Specs and get the Best of Neil CDs and cassettes. Specs all over Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. And, of course, Naples and Fort Myers. I bet you we'll sell 3 or 4 over there, at least. At least. Pretty weak. Well, what do you expect here? 3 minutes past noon at 560 WQAM. Bob Herbert writes in the New York Times, Tom DeLay spent many long months hiding in the tall grass and chuckling while George W. Bush traveled the country trying to spread the fiction of compassionate conservatism. There's no room for compassion in the politics of Tom DeLay. Newt Gingrich was a pussycat compared with this compulsively combative congressman from Texas who keeps braided whips in his office. He's the House Majority Whip responsible for keeping the GOP troops in line, and whose nickname is the Hammer. How do you like that? Yeah, Tom DeLay is the Hammer.
That was funny.
Mr. DeLay has exhibited more clout in the House than anyone, including the Speaker. He led the impeachment charge for the Republicans, and yes, his politics are extreme. Anyone trying to move further to the right than Tom DeLay is in danger of falling into the void. After the Columbine tragedy, Mr. DeLay took to the floor of the Congress to mount an impassionate defense of guns and to rant against birth control, daycare centers, and teaching of evolution. Example, we have sterilized and contracepted our families down to sizes so small that the children we do have are so spoiled with material things that they come to equate the receiving of the material with love. Apparently, in Mr. DeLay's worldview, it's better to have more and poorer children. After lying low for so long, Mr. DeLay was eager to resume his hard right ways and start exercising his clout in the high-octane atmosphere of a George W. Bush victory. But as we know, a weird thing happened. The presidential election ended in a virtual deadlock, and the right-wing hallelujahs had to be put on hold, which did not make the Hammer happy. He quickly decided to go to the mattresses. Just days after the election, he sent a staff memo to Republicans in Congress that virtually invited them to try to overturn Florida's electoral votes if it turned out they were for Al Gore. The memo said the House and Senate could reject the state's electoral votes if they decided the votes were tainted. The Times' Allison Mitchell wrote that a Republican close to Mr. DeLay described the memorandum as similar to the impeachment book his office sent out in 1998 when Mr. DeLay began providing information about impeachment to the Republicans. Last week, when a thuggish gathering of Republican demonstrators tried to shut down the hand recount operations in Miami-Dade County, it turned out that key DeLay operatives were right there. As the Wall Street Journal reported, right up front on television images of the event last Wednesday were Thomas Pyle, an aide to GOP Representative Tom DeLay, and Michael Murphy, who works for a DeLay fundraising committee. All of this is particularly ominous because it's becoming clearer by the day that George W. Bush is the incredible shrinking frontman for the GOP. He may have espoused compassionate conservatism on the stump, but Tom DeLay and his crowd and their right-wing counterparts in the Senate and around the country are committed to keeping the GOP mean and extreme. Don't look for W to stop them. We keep hearing from the commentators and others that most Americans are in the broad center of the political spectrum, but you won't find Tom DeLay and his hard-right followers in that vast and reasonably tolerant terrain. Mr. DeLay, a one-time exterminator from Sugar Land, Texas, is a card-carrying extremist. He is called the Environmental Protection Agency, the Gestapo of the government. He has fought restrictions on pesticides and toxic waste and tried mightily to undermine the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. In one of his furious fights against gun control, he declared, the government hopefully would never turn on the people, but it's human nature for it to do that if you don't have the deterrent of citizens bearing arms. When Bob Dole was trying to figure out a way to end the stalemate during the government shutdown crisis in early 1996, Mr. DeLay reacted with an expletive and declared it's time for an all-out war. Americans should get to know Tom DeLay, know him well. He's a hard-right true believer and one of the most powerful men in the government, and he has the savvy and the energy that George W. does not, writes Bob Herbert in the New York Times, November 30th. Okay, here's a call from Cutler Ridge. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Try to make my points quickly. First, I agree with you completely about the Boy Scouts. I agree that a private organization has the right to take a bigoted point of view and to exclude people. But once they do that, they've lost all rights to public assistance and public support.
Right.
We do not allow the Ku Klux Klan to come in and recruit people in our public school system, and we cannot allow the Boy Scouts to come in and recruit children to hate homosexuals.
Right.
Second point is, I think we really understand where the Bush administration is coming from now and what their whole point of running for this election was. Now that the special prosecutor has called up Monica Lewinsky again for testimony,
right,
they can try to nail Bill Clinton.
Just like I told you, they will never, ever let it go, ever.
I feel that if Bush gets the Electoral College, that it's important that at some point before January 20th that Clinton resign and that Gore pardon him before the 20th, so they cannot go hunt him down over the next 4 years. We just don't need that. We've had our trial. Congress has spoken. Get over it, people. And I have a poll question for you for a future date, if you'd like to entertain it.
Okay.
Is it more important that Florida ensure that our electors are cast in the College of Electors, or is it more important that they're cast accurately?
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a great life. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe Clinton ought to resign today. And then Gore becomes president, and then he just says, okay, I'm not leaving. What do you think about that? Not a bad idea.
Make for more fun talk shows.
Yeah. And then he can call on Jerry Ford, and he'll show him how the pardon thing works. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT. Make sure Jerry doesn't hit his head again this time, okay? He keeps falling down again lately.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Come on, baby. Come play with these titties.
My anus, 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 my anus.
Hi, kids. Y'all like cutting little stinkers? That funny little sound that comes right out your sphincter? Want to copy me and do exactly like I do? Get paid for writing little songs about poo-poo? My brain's all gone. I'm trying to get my groove on, but I can't figure out which Spice Girl I'm going to fart on. And Dr. Dre asked, yo, man, did you pass gas? Hell no. Why do I smell ass? Man, you low class. Well, since age 12, it seemed like I always smelled. I thought ripping gases and tooting was pretty swell. I got pissed off when I took my jeans off and farted so hard it turned my underwear backwards like crisscross. And every night I'm like, oh, dinner at last. Then fart out my ass faster than a fat bitch who ate too fast. Smell this, honey. Yo, dude, wait a minute. That's my girl, cuz. I don't give a fuck. God sent me to stink the world up. My anus, my anus, my anus, my anus, my anus, my anus. My English teacher wanted me kicked out back in junior high. Said the problem was something crawled up my ass and died. I shot him in the face with my vapor. The worst happened later, when I covered his desk with used toilet paper. Walked in the strip club, my intestines were filled up. Moved the bartender, took a dump in a tip cup. Went over to a dancer, had her fucking her garter. She lifted her leg up, and I knew she was a farter. 99% of my life I was lied to. I just found out my mom's got more gas than I do. I told her I'd grow up to be a famous rapper, make a record about strange noises made on the crapper. You know you was dirt when the women rushed to leave. You tried to hold it back, but your butt needed relief. This guy at White Castle said it was pretty cool, but I had to go drop the kids off at the pool. My anus, my anus, my anus.
Rectum.
My anus, my anus, my anus. My anus. My anus. My anus smells.
Talk 14. If you think there's pressure now, you ain't heard nothing yet. Florida Supreme Court announcement expected at 12:30. Just about 15 minutes from now. So strap yourselves in, buckle your seatbelts, get your armpits all lathered up, because in 15 minutes at 12:30, the Florida Supreme Court. Look at that. There's George W.
Very interesting period of time for both of us.
He's always got that same look on his face. You know what the word is for it? Dumb. I hate to say that, but
here I stand still, without.
Let's face it. America likes dumb. They like dumb jocks. They like dumb celebrities. They like dumb, and they also like substance abusers. Robert Downey Jr. He's still very popular. Name me some other popular substance abusers, quick.
OJ.
There's another.
Did you already say GW? Because I was on the
substance. What?
Did you already say our president possibly elect? GW?
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, well, I was on the phone.
Oh. How about George Bush? Oh. And, of course, Papa Bush now saying, read my hip. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Did we get that one call from a rational person over on Fort Myers?
No.
I mean, we're out on the air there right now, but I'm sure they're listening on 560. Some didn't get it. 877, toll-free, 877-785-6345. It would make me feel so much better about life in general if just before the show ends at 2 today, we hear just from one, like living and breathing person over there, if there is such a person. Here's a mobile in Pompano. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I just have one, maybe a stupid question to ask you.
Well, it wouldn't be the first one.
It sickens me to see all the time and energy wasted on the recount. Why don't they just do revote? Is that possible?
A revote where?
At Florida, the whole state. Just make everybody revote.
Yeah, okay. 2 o'clock this afternoon, okay? Well, he said it was going to be a dumb question. See, what they should have done was a hand recount of all 38 counties where they have paper ballots and where they count them by, where they do this thing, where they don't have the optical scanners, where they do this grotesque thing. Well, but they're not going to do that. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless lines. And then they keep saying, well, those counting machines, they're pretty damn accurate. I mean, only 2 to 5% margin of error. Only 2 to 5% margin of error. Well, 6 million votes, 5% is only 300,000. And then you're going to have somebody win by 500 votes? But don't confuse people with the facts. Because there have been so many lies and by both sides, so much garbage and so much verbiage and so much spinning going on that it's a miracle that anybody, even Linda Blair, can't keep her head on straight. Here's a mobile in Hialeah. Hello.
Yeah, Neil?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to request Scotch bagpipes for George's birthday today. George Jorge Rodriguez for president.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you want your Scottish bagpipes?
No.
Here's a mobile in Lake Worth.
I was going to start playing music.
Mobile in Lake Worth. See, that's on line 1 again. I don't think line 1 is functioning. And line 2, wait a minute. Hello? No, it doesn't work. The whole phone bank is all screwed up, if you ask me. Here's Miami. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
If there had been fraud in this election, the courts would have ruled that way. It's just you people just don't get it. You don't get it at all. I mean, you have a bunch of ignorant voters that don't know how to vote, a bunch of blind voters that don't know how to vote.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now, the case in Seminole County is going to be heard tomorrow before Judge Clark up there in Leon County. And now, isn't that a case about fraud?
You're going to see that when everything is said and done in that case, they're going to throw it out because there was no fraud.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad that you got all the answers, sir. I really don't know. All I know is what I've read, and so far it sounds really bad to me. And that's just not my opinion. That's what a whole lot of folks, even many Republicans, have said. But don't confuse this guy with the facts. See, there's no way to have a conversation with you, sir, because you just state your opinion as facts. That's it. And, of course, I'm the only one that's allowed to do that because it's my show. And even I'm wrong like once or twice a year. Well, what's the point of talking to a guy like that? He just states crap like facts. They're going to find, I don't know what they're going to find. Any more than you do, asshole. 567, now wait a minute, is that call? Oh, let's see, that's Hialeah. That's a bogus call. I thought it was going to be a real call. In fact, get rid of it. What do they call from Hialeah on line 9? I want a West Coast call on line 9. We pay a lot of money. We had to threaten them with murder to get them to put in that line for those people over there, toll free, that we're paying for, these cheap bastards of Beasleys, and we can't squeeze anything out of those people. Well, you keep insulting them, and you know something? They deserve it. Just like when we were on here in WSUN in those awful days when we were on in Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, that's exactly what we said, and we were right on target. They deserve it. Another bunch of mugwumps, although they do have Crystal. No, not your Crystal. And they have Steak and Shake, which we have here now, too. It's open over there right by the Chevron station, right by the Sawgrass on Sunrise Boulevard, just east of Flamingo and Plantation. Why not give them some plugs, okay? They got good stuff. And it'll get even better once they get their act together. And those thick, creamy milkshakes, I mean, real thick with little cherry on top, those chocolate milkshakes at Steak and Shake, the best. Unbelievable. So thick you have to almost eat it with a spoon. And not that I can eat any of that stuff, and you know one of the great things about this carb solution, I'm not just saying this because it's only a day and a half I'm on this thing now, but you're not hungry. I'm sitting at the track last night and Fat Rich is shoveling the food down his, just shoveling it down with both hands. Didn't faze me, and I didn't even pay attention to what he was eating. Here's a mobile in Tamarack. Hello.
Hey, Neil, I'm looking at the poll you got here. Exhaust all legal options and concede.
Yes.
I can't believe what I'm reading here.
Why?
I mean, you keep giving this money to all these lawyers, and when all said and done, they're going to fly away. Everyone's going to forget about it. And in 4 years, if Bush does a good job, no one's going to even care about what's going on today.
Yeah, and what if he doesn't do a good job?
Well, then we vote him out and we go with somebody else.
Yeah, well,
let it go already.
I voted for concede. That's how I voted.
I mean, the stocks are taking a crap. Everything's
No, they're not. The stocks are coming back great.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness Greenspan finally said something good because he doesn't want to look like a jackass and have a recession now. He kept telling us the soft landing bull crap. Well, guess what? They raised interest rates too many times, like about twice too many. Now they're trying to compensate for it, and now the market's going through the roof again, thank God.
Well, let me ask you this. What happens if they do find fraud in Seminole County? What goes on then?
Well, she finds that there was fraud and says we're going to throw those all the absentee ballots out. Then the Republicans will appeal it to the Florida Supreme Court, and then it's up to them.
There's like no end in sight here.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's time to concede. It's time to. We've had enough of this, and I think that they were screwed. But there comes a time when you have to put everybody's interest ahead of your own, and let's move on. That's my feeling.
Oh, tell George happy birthday. That's from his friend.
Okay, happy birthday from your friend, George. We all, isn't it amazing how many friends we have?
They're all our friends, aren't they?
Our best friends. I have so many best friends I never even met yet.
Even the ones that hate us.
They're our most loyal friends. Some of them are a little bit on the wacky side, but you can be sure that they're there every minute of every day. 5670560. We're waiting here patiently. Don't forget, 1:30 there'll be a hearing before Judge Clark up there. You think she's kin to Marsha Clark?
No.
No. A little bit darker. In fact, if Marsha Clark would have been as dark as this Clark, Nikki Clark, OJ might be, he might have fried. He might be getting the juice right now. Florida Supreme Court announcement at 12:30 this afternoon. 1:30 they're having a hearing, and then they actually have the thing. They're having more arguments in court at 1:30 before Judge Clark, and then the hearing official is 1:30 tomorrow, I believe, or 3 o'clock, or whatever the hell it is. And like this last caller said, and I agree with him. I'm just not one of those people that gives up easy, but the fact is, there comes a point in time you have to examine in your own mind, is it really possible now with all the shenanigans, with all the bullcrap, and of course this is what Baker and all the right-wingers have been counting on, and I think they're right. When you just throw enough crap up in the air and you keep delaying and stalling, and when you lose enough time in the courts, how many times can you keep appealing? So we'll see what the Supreme Court says in 7 minutes. Getting nervous? I'm not. Here's a mobile in Davie. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm calling about, I have ideas too, and the stuff you said you can buy at Publix. What is the name of it? You said it before, but I didn't get the name.
Carb Solutions.
Carb Solutions? And what exactly is it, like a drink?
They have 3 different products. They got the bars, they're like the protein bars, only they have almost no carbs and actually taste good, unlike the other ones. And they have the powder, to make the shakes. And then they have the premixed high protein drink that's already in the bottles. They're great.
What exactly is it supposed to do? I mean, how is it supposed to help?
Well, I mean, that's up to you. You can replace meals with them, or for snacks, or like I'm doing, you can just go on this like most of the time, and
Okay.
They're filling and they taste great.
Okay. Well, what
just like Bud Light.
Yeah. No, I can't drink it. I guess no drinking, right?
Right.
Okay. One more question. Remember about 10 years ago, a guy named Jovan used to call you?
Yeah, jerk, yeah.
Oh, I work with that guy. We got tapes of you. We always, laugh for him and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, okay, great. Have a great day. 24 after I know. We better take our break right now because 12:30 we got that big major announcement coming, baby. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I don't give a shit anymore.
12:29 at 560 WQM. Now you talk about chutzpah. Trent Lott, this fascist piece of crap with his pom-poms, is standing there hocking a Chinik on CNN.
She's the first woman in the Republican leadership.
And the Florida
since,
Supreme Court is going to be making a major announcement any minute now, like in 50 seconds or less, which you know they'll cut his ass off in a heartbeat. Get out of here. Go wave your pom-poms, Trent.
Now we're delighted to have in our leadership team, Rick Santorum of Pennsylvania. Rick has already
my favorite call this week was the guy yesterday who said every 4 years he's got to turn me off because I go through this because I actually give my opinions. Now let me ask you something. Do my political opinions change in between during those 4 years? No. So what is that guy talking about? I don't understand people. I never will. The Dow's up 264, baby. It was up over 300. It was 323. How's that NASDAQ doing? Is it hanging in there, we hope? Better be up over 200. 199. Well, that's pretty close to 200. And they're all waiting, hinging. Get this goddamn fascist off my screen now, and let's get the Florida Supreme Court on there. That great goofy guy that's up there in Tallahassee, the one that keeps marching out. We want to see the doors of the courthouse up there. Because at least, just like they kept showing us the empty courtroom yesterday, you think MSNBC will be on it, or they got this bastard on there too? Oh, look at that! Just as I said that, they're showing the doors of the goddamn, and there's the podium. Here we go.
George W. Bush and others. This is the case that was in Judge Saul's court that the First District Court of Appeals certified to this court yesterday evening. The Supreme Court will hear oral argument at 10 a.m. Thursday, December the 7th, 2000. We're going to follow some special procedures that are in a written document that will be available to you after this announcement. There will be a maximum of 30 minutes per side for a total of 1 hour of argument scheduled. Again, as you all know, if the justices wish to ask questions beyond that period of time, they can extend the period if they wish to. We have asked that briefs be filed, also dealing with the question of whether the court should exercise its jurisdiction by noon, Wednesday, December the 6th. Now let me go over some special procedures. Those of you who were here at the last oral argument, we're going to follow very, very similar procedures to what we used before. There will be 28 reserved seats for the press in the courtroom. We will once again have a lottery system. The box is available in the building for you to put your identification, a business card, copy of your credentials, or whatever to be included in the lottery. Once again, there will only be one seat per news organization, and by news organization we mean the largest entity, such as a network or whatever.
Or QAM.
Other seats will be available, those that are not reserved for attorneys and parties, on a first-come, first-served basis. And once again, the line will start forming at 8 a.m.
At the rear.
Once the space in the courtroom is full, no one else will be permitted into the building. Apart from court personnel, there will be 3 still photographers. One will be chosen by the Associated Press. The 2 others will be designated by other photographers covering this news event. Now, as for broadcast matters, once again, the court has designated Pat Roberts of the Florida Association of Broadcasters to coordinate the broadcast matters, including satellite uplinks and mult boxes and that sort of thing. So please coordinate with him. Now, Tom Hall, the clerk of court, also has a few comments to make.
All right. Come on, let's get with it. It's only a 4 hour.
There have been a few filings this morning. In addition, we've gotten this order, the more detailed order that Craig just read from. We are going to revert back to the procedure that we were using last week for handing out copies. If people will line up according to the way the marshal wants you on the steps, we will let people in 5 at a time to go to the press room to get copies,
baby.
And then come back out. We'll do that pretty much the next couple of days for handing out of copies. Thank you.
What is the timetable and procedure on the Supreme Court remand matter, and what can you tell us about somehow the court combining the 2 cases?
We just don't know at this point about whether these various cases will be combined.
Can you tell us how the justices
spent their morning this morning after receiving the official certification from the first.
I know they were meeting. In what manner? As I told you before, they meet in many different.
How they spent their morning. Oh, the media, man! I'm telling you, they're just tearing my kishkis out.
The media is sick and needs help badly.
Oh God! How did they spend their morning? So there you go. It just goes on and on and on and on. They're going to hear oral arguments. Now, briefs to the Supreme Court due by noon tomorrow, and then they're going to hear oral and anal arguments. Each side has a half hour, 10 o'clock, 10 to 11 on Thursday morning. And, of course, now maybe we'll be able to hear that. I'm trying to think. Did we get no. We didn't get any of the arguments before the Supreme. Maybe we haven't had any oral arguments there, have we?
Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah. Remember, they grilled everybody.
Are you sure? The Florida Supreme Court? You're thinking of the U.S. Supreme Court.
No, the Florida.
Yeah. Well, that'll be good. That'll kill an hour on Thursday. That'll be excellent. So our poll question, I guess, may be a little bit moot, but we'll keep it going. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should concede 174, 45.5%, exhaust all legal options, 209, 54.5%. This audience, man, they want to take it all away. Here's a mobile in Davie. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question for you. Everybody about this election I've talked to, who the hell voted for the damn bullet train? How did it by 70%? Let's call it a revote on the bullet train.
A lot of really stupid people, man.
What counties was that eligible to vote in? Was that Tampa, Orlando, down here, right?
Oh, I don't know. Was it only voted on in the counties where it's going to be running, or was it voted on statewide?
I don't know.
Because I think that was statewide because the taxpayers are going to have to vote for it all over the state.
Well, who the hell voted for it? Everybody I've talked to said no, they didn't vote for it.
I voted no. I punched it so hard I put my damn fist through the thing.
I mean, I voted early and often, like you told me to,
right.
And I voted twice.
Right.
I mean, who the hell voted for that thing? I've yet to meet somebody who voted for it.
I mean, here's the deal where there's absolutely no funding. It's like pie in the sky.
Have you ever ridden on the Metro Rail or the Tri-Rail?
Of course not. Nobody rides either one of those.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll do a search. We'll get Sherlock Holmes. I have no idea. Very good point. In fact, when I came to it on the ballot that day, I was like kind of like smirking. I was laughing a little bit like, you got to be kidding me. That hasn't got a Chinaman's chance in purgatory. Come to find out, it passes with ease. With ease. Don't confuse the voters with the facts, man, because they really know their crap. 1,600 open lines here today, 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T. You know what we need, George? Closure. Yeah. We need some. That's America's favorite word. We need closure. Something, as in close your fly, because it's embarrassing. Here's a mobile in Fort Myers. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Boys has been banking on all these judges to follow the letter of the law.
Mm-hmm.
Because tomorrow, guess what that judge might do? Follow the letter of the law, and 4,000 votes will be out the window for Bush.
Yeah.
So, I think that's just the way it's going to go.
You think she's going to stick it to him, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And then guess what's going to happen?
I don't know.
then it goes. That also goes right to the Florida Supremes, man.
Yeah, but it's 4,000 votes.
Okay, we'll take it. Yeah, in fact, somebody on that awful show on CNN. What was the name of the show again? The 3.5 minute Talk Back. Somebody came up with a very weak line there, but in the audience was going, ha, 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 about like the Supremes. That's why they call them the Supremes. They ought to be singing, "You Keep Me Hanging On." And I thought, you really didn't say that, did you? And the audience was going, ha, 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 ha. Most of it's in Atlanta, that audience. They're a bunch of nose pickers and schwarzers. And it was funny because the one black woman, she was laughing her ass off, and her daughter, who was very attractive, by the way, young, but say about 18, 20, whatever, and she had a blank look on her face because 18, 20-year-old kids, they know the Supremes from goddamn Chubby Checker. Who the hell are you kidding? You keep me hanging on my ass, Ma. What you be talking about? What kind of a rap song is that? Oh, I'm sorry, hip-hop. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon Wireless line. So they're going to hear oral and anal arguments Thursday, and each side gets a half an hour. Well, that's one good thing. You see, when you're dealing with the Supreme Court, both at the state and federal level, they don't do like in a regular courtroom where, even though the judge did allocate a certain amount of time, and to their credit, the attorneys ran short instead of over. But they don't punch you around like that. They say, each side has a half an hour, and believe me, not finished half, we'll cut you off in mid-sentence, okay? We'll throw your ass in jail if you don't shut up when that thing rings, when the red light goes on. Well, speaking of the red light goes on.
This time it comes in, but there's the goal away in the middle of the top of the goal. That's the top of the other pocket bar. And Bale was knocked down. And now out comes Poland as they will get it deep into the lead zone. Back of the net goes Cavalry with less than a minute to go. And now Joseph looking for the bench. And out comes Berenson. Berenson to the line and kicked in. Berenson into the back. Loose on the back. Oh! Gary Moore!
I'm sorry. Also, Joe made a mistake on the name. He's still the best. He is. I have the hair on the back of my neck just stands straight up when I hear Joe Bowen. Anybody know who that is?
No.
21 before 1 at 560 WQAM. I got a great article by Robert Shear in the Times that I'll read in a couple of minutes. It says, Dear George, winning isn't all that bad. Oh.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Ray Whitney has a pair.
Bring us on Charlie. We want our Charlie.
Thank you.
Anyway, welcome to ABC in Spin City. How's it going so far?
It's good. It's good to be here.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But it's kind of different from what you've been doing in the past, which is mainly ladies who work on Hollywood Boulevard. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Charlie, I know you've done a lot of women in gardens.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you done the beautiful Heather Locklear?
Yes.
Oh. All right, congratulations.
Get off? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I average about 3.5, 4 seconds.
Good.
Wasn't that There's another scumbag America loves, Charlie Sheen, and of course that was Regis meets Dwayne Stomp. 17 before 1 at 560 WQM. Robert Shear writes in the New York Times, Dear George, you don't know me, but I did interview your father a bunch of times, and your recent behavior shows warning signs of the intemperate quirkiness that finally did him in with the public. He was always just a whine away from claiming he'd been abused by someone. Manuel Noriega, Saddam Hussein, Bill Clinton. Those good old boy photos of you in a cowboy hat pretending to be annoyed that big city slickers are ripping you off just didn't cut it. You're too rich, coddled, and undeserving of your success to play the victim. Not everyone gets to be president. The other guy got more votes nationally, and if that Florida fiasco had broken the other way, you and the Gore camp would now be making the opposite arguments. Heck, if the Florida Jews and blacks were Republican voters, your staff would be fervently in favor of choice for pregnant chads. But deserving or not, it looks like you're going to be president, and I suspect that's what put you into a dark funk. You're scared, and for good reason. More voters rejected you. The presidency will demand more than that 4-hour workday you're used to, and you know painfully little about the world you're now expected to lead. It must be unnerving than before one of those big tests at Yale when even your tutor was hungover. This is not Gentleman C's time. This is being the 43rd president of the United States. Golly, there were only 42 others in our nation's history, and now it's come down to you. You bet people will be seriously grading your performance, not like in Texas, where the governor spends much time cutting ribbons, casually signing execution orders, and playing golf. It doesn't help that the old advisors your daddy sent over as your minders keep nodding off, and the ones who still have something on the ball, such as Jim Baker, are getting churlish in their dotage. Dick Cheney acts like he's the boss and treats you like some kid he's keeping out of trouble. Condoleezza Rice is smart enough, but she keeps giving speeches about withdrawing troops from countries you didn't know existed. So much to know, so little time to cram. It's gotten you so anxious about being smart enough to pull this off that your severe teenage acne has returned. I know running for president was a lot of fun, but now you're discovering with those mock cabinet meetings you're holding that being president is real work. The media won't let you shrug off those fuzzy numbers. There's a lot of annoying detail you have to know. Better get plenty of those 3x5 index cards Ronald Reagan carried to remind himself of important stuff. But I didn't write this note to bum you out by dwelling on the incompetence thing. Au contraire, my advice is get over it. Even if that negative assessment is true, as many appear to believe, you'd hardly be the first incompetent to inhabit the White House. You're not irredeemably inept, and anyway, there's no reason to compare yourself to that know-it-all Al Gore. He's had 8 years of on-the-job training in one of the most successful administrations in modern history, but he couldn't carry the administration's home states of Tennessee and Arkansas. Sure, that brainy stuff impresses people in New York, Illinois, and California, but Gore forgot to keep his intelligence hidden back home. You had no such problem. If the voters wanted brainy leaders, Gore would have been a shoo-in instead of being scraping for chads in Miami Beach. Clearly, almost half the voters are experiencing prosperity fatigue. They've forgotten that your father and Reagan ran up more red ink than all the previous presidents combined, and they're buying into supply-side economics once again. My advice is to abandon that GOP economic dogma that almost gave the country to the Japanese. Forget that nutty tax cut for the super rich that will only wipe out the surplus and prevent you from spending federal dollars on all those projects your core consultants want. Big federal bucks brought roads, airports, water, electricity, prisons, huge military contracts, and oil technology to new capitalism to the Southwest. Attack Washington, but grab those federal tax dollars. It's the Texas way. However, you're going to be president of the whole country, and the rest of the states want in on that federal dollar, particularly those in the rural backwater states that voted for you and couldn't survive without congressional pork. Now, George, this is something you know a lot more about than you may think. Just use the model of how you got all that public funding to build a new stadium for your baseball team in Dallas. The only mandate you have to be is moderate, so don't answer Pat Robertson's phone calls, and whatever happens, keep smiling, because that's what you're good at. Robert Scheer in the New York Times, contributing editor. Nice going, Bobby. Right on target.
For intentional wrongdoing, and they talk about substantial compliance. And aren't you going to have a problem here? Because what this issue here isn't about fraudulent votes. It's about applications to get votes so that people would be able to vote. No one's claiming that the votes were irregular.
Well, the substantial compliance has been ruled by the Florida courts to include properly filling out the ballot request. You can't leave out, as a matter of law, you can't leave out information. Its absence is the absence of substantial compliance as a matter of law. And what happened here is the voter registration numbers that to identify the voters were not on there, and the Republicans came in and with the connivance of the supervisor of election filled in those numbers. That is illegal in and of itself and meets the standard of not being substantially in compliance with the law.
How do you like that? I think maybe these other people have got more smarts than I do. These people are saying, just stick on another day or two. I think tomorrow, that hearing in Seminole County on the, rather in Leon County on the Seminole absentee ballots, that could be the chigger in the woodpile. But don't be calling that Nikki Clark a chigger in the woodpile. That's bad. That's what the Bush people are probably calling her. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's Fort Myers. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? I'm a living and breathing person over here in Fort Myers.
All right.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
Wow.
No, I used to be over from the East Coast, so I guess I'm not original over here. But
how'd you wind up over there?
School.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay. Anyway, this has got to be a big joke, this whole thing here. I was in Tallahassee this weekend visiting, and the whole newspaper, first 4 pages of that crap newspaper up there was all about this election bullshit up there, and it was a joke. And wherever you go, you got these people, all these political people up there, hanging out, and that's all they want to do. They're trying to interview people, and people don't want to talk about it up there. They're a bunch of idiots and all. But I got a solution to this whole thing. Rather than going to these state Supreme Courts and this national Supreme Court, let's just go to the TV Supreme Court. Let's get Judge Judy, Fudge Brown, Wapner, all these old guys on there, and just have their own Supreme Court, and they get the crap settled,
Yeah, I think Fudge Brown stick it to him.
Yeah, Fudge Brown. Hey, speaking of that, Fudge Brown's got to get his damn billboard off the turnpike there. He's still got that stupid billboard up there. I got to look at his stupid puss every time I drive by there.
Okay, we'll tear it down.
All right, see you later.
Okay, thanks. 567-0560, pound 560 on the air. Actually, I had a real call from Fort Myers, from somebody under the age of 100, somebody to the left of Attila the Hun. Woo! Now my day is made. Now I can go home and have more of my carb solutions. It's like a miracle. I know I keep talking about it, and people, yeah, all of you with that fat stuff, we've been hearing it for 100 years. Well, that's true. But most of us who are fat don't want to be fat. Now, some people who are fat do want to be fat. I don't want to mention no names. Did those keys come yet? It's interesting that he can send over in those FedEx packages, he can send over all the videotapes, everything that's ever been invented. 60 copies of Screw Magazine. But those keys, how much space do a couple of keys take up? You could hide them in your rectum next to the cocaine. But I don't see them showing up, and I'll say it again. The only reason that he was called last Thursday, whatever day it was to suck around so he could come in here with Joey Buttafuoco, another scumbag that we don't want any part of. And even George said, no. If that's what it takes to get any more of your free meals, Al, the answer is no.
The price is too high at that point.
Ron Jeremy at least was a little bit of fun.
I wouldn't eat what's wrong with it.
It was sad that he was sitting that close, and I had to look at him. It was in the middle of lunch hour because it really screwed me all up for days. But nevertheless, he was a little bit of fun. Not too much, but a little. But Joey Buttafuoco, absolutely not. And where's the goddamn keys, fatso? Here's the mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
the thing that scares me more than anything with this is how stupid the country is what I'm learning. To vote for this man and not see him for what he is. It's like the brainwashed religious right is the way I see it, and it scares me that the country...
yeah, but see, that's the thing I find perplexing, is that most of the people who voted for him are not members of the brainwashed religious right. I just don't know who they are.
But I mean, don't they see this man? I mean, if he had the first chance to get Monica Lewinsky, he'd be there. He's so stupid. He would film it. I mean, he'd show it to his friends. Another thing is, I can't picture
just like that wedding where he was drinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I can't picture this guy at the same table sitting down with Yasser Arafat, and Clinton has that smile. He's friendly. He knows, besides what he's done, he knows how to deal with people. This guy scares me. He is not a mature, intelligent human being who knows what to do.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
This is not the man I want to represent.
It's pretty hard to sit down with world leaders when you don't even know who they are or where their country, what country they're from, or where that country is on a map.
That's exactly right. But
and like you said, it doesn't seem to bother most Americans. They don't understand that. I just don't. It just boggles my mind.
They don't see Jim Baker. I mean, how he's so full of it, and how he just brainwashes, and they lie with the count, the recount. I mean, what's with America? I mean, I'm no Gore lover, but I look at it objectively, and it's scary. This is how Hitler brainwashed people, convinced them, lied to them. I mean, people are just naturally stupid.
Well, George W., he's not sharp enough to be Hitler, but I'm afraid that Tom DeLay is, so hang on tight. Keep that passport handy.
And James Baker.
Not James Baker, that virulent anti-Semite.
Boy!
I'll say it for the 10 millionth time. Can you just imagine how they're squeezing themselves silly until they almost can find it? Thinking about those old Jews that got screwed up and voted, not just voted wrong, but voted for Pat Buchanan instead of Gore. They must be getting such sexual excitement out of that to describe it on the air would probably lose our license.
3 rolls of bounty they must have gone through.
Here's Margate. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Neil.
It's the quicker picker-upper. Yes, sir.
You know, when people don't vote with their heads, they're voting with their emotions. And what their emotions are has to do with race, religion, and money.
Yeah.
And if you have any question why people voted for Bush, it's one or all of those above that's motivating that vote.
Well, let me ask you something. The same things could have been said in 1996 when Dole lost in a pretty much of a landslide. Well, what was the difference?
No difference. People's priorities, unfortunately, are in their emotions and not in their heads.
I think the difference was that Al Gore isn't even a shadow of Bill Clinton. He couldn't lick his finger.
Well, that might
like it.
In many ways, that's true. But, you know, the reason I called, Neil, was because I've been after this Teresa Lepore for a long time now. And I understand there's an article in the Wall Street Journal that links her with Adnan Khashoggi. I don't know if that name rings a bell with you.
No.
But he was an arms dealer.
What team does he play for?
No, he was a very big arms dealer during the first Bush administration, and was involved in the Iran-Contra situation.
Yeah.
And she was working for him at one time. Now she claims to be a Democrat, and she's the one who's responsible for those butterfly ballots in Palm Beach County. So, you know, this, I don't agree with you. I think that this should be taken to the limit and beyond, if necessary.
Even beyond the limit.
Even
to the outer limits.
Because an election that was illegal, gained illegally, to me, is never acceptable, and I will never.
Okay, we'll take it to the Twilight Zone.
I'll never accept the results of this election, and I don't think that Al Gore should either. Because, you know, if he really believes what he's saying, it would be impossible for him to be able to say, well, everything's...
Well, you know, I hate to break the news to you and Al, but sooner or later, the day is going to have to come when...
Why?
Well, what do you mean, why?
Why? You keep saying...
So, in other words, it's going to go on
for the
forever?
better of the country. How is the country suffering, Neil?
I said sooner, or you didn't hear what I just said.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, there has to be a day on which we decide this is the end. And certainly a week from today, being the 12th of December, you know as well as I do that the Florida legislature isn't going to let that day come and pass without selecting a slate of electors for George Bush. There is absolutely no way. The clock is ticking fast, and we're down to the final days.
I understand that. However, I would say this. I may be resigned to the fact
and
that I
James
will
Baker
never
says he's got the final solution.
Pardon?
And I said, have a great day. Isn't that what James Baker said?
Oi!
Hearing at 1:30 in the Seminole absentee ballot case. That's just a hearing. And then tomorrow that judge, she's going to give him what for. I just have a feeling she's going to really stick it to him. 12:56 at 560 WQAM.
Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley broadcast station, and WQAM.com for the world.
Hey, buttheads, it's a 1 to 2 hour. All right.
I need another abortion and I need it fast. I feel like a baby's hanging out my ass. I'm hobbling and having trouble lifting my feet. Clinic with the picket lines down the street. It's the abortion shuffle. The abortion shuffle. The bastard got me in trouble. Clean me out on the double. Strap me in the stirrups. Get the fetus out of my bay. I think from the juices that I ooze and squirt, and lactating milk all over my shirt. I'm walking like a gimp, taking baby steps. As marks on my Pokegate spread and stretch. It's the abortion shuffle. The abortion shuffle. Get the hanger on the double. Spot the water bottle. Strap me in the stirrups. Get the fetus out of my face.
According to a press release from a group calling itself the Justice in Florida Committee, which supports the legal challenge in Seminole County, a local reporter testified in a deposition that last month he interviewed controversial Seminole County election supervisor Sandra Gore. She's accused of allowing Republican political operatives to alter applications for absentee ballots in her county while denying that same opportunity to Democrats. The reporter, according to Justice in Florida, says Gore told him on tape that her office would not honor absentee ballot request forms submitted without voter ID numbers. Justice in Florida claims this interview was broadcast at the same time that Gore was permitting workers paid by the Republican Party to complete the forms. How do you like that? It is not unprecedented in Florida to invalidate all absentee ballots in a county if there is evidence of wrongdoing. Such a move would be disastrous for the Bush forces, since Bush carried the Seminole County and Martin County absentee vote by thousands of votes. How ironic if Bush, the man who's fought so hard to exclude so many votes, is defeated because thousands of his votes were excluded as illegal. How do you like that? So like I said, let's hang on another day or two. Isn't that what I said before?
No.
Yeah, that's what I said. Here's another fax that says, happy birthday, George, many more healthy ones. And did you know, guess whose birthday it is tomorrow, George?
Elion.
Oh, you already knew that?
Sure.
Oh. Huh. Yeah, but I bet you he's not getting his Happy Meal. That's what we ought to bring George for his birthday tomorrow, a Happy Meal. Eat your heart out, Elion. At least he's got a heart left. You eat me more of those Happy Meals, that'll be it.
What's the toy this month?
Says, I know he's happy to celebrate his 7th birthday with his daddy, even if he's in Cuba. That's what Fern says. She also wants our email address. We don't do email. Don't give it to her. We don't do email.
Okay.
No,
it doesn't matter. It just collects up anyway.
What is it?
Neil at neilrogers.com.
What is it? Neil at
neilrogers.com.
Okay, there you go, Fern. We don't do email. Because most of it is crap. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I'm a registered Republican for all my life.
Uh-huh.
But guess what?
What?
I didn't have any transportation. I called Democratic Party so I could go down there and vote against Bush.
Really?
Oh, yes, sir.
How do you like that?
Huh?
That's great.
And you know what really burns me, though? If you drive up I-95, they got this Bush campaign headquarters. They just change the name on the front of it all the time. On the front of that building.
What does it say? The Hitler Youth Headquarters now?
No, it was whatever Bush was running. They just changed the first name.
Uh-huh. Oh, I see, yeah.
Haven't you seen that?
No.
Oh, no, heading up in Pompano, you'll see that building is a Bush headquarters, and it was Jeb Bush, and then it was George Bush. And
Probably next time it'll be George P.
Yep. And, you know, I can't...
Now, it used to be Billy Carter on the side of those buildings. Now we can watch George P.
Oh, no, and the thing that really frosts me is here this guy gets on the TV. He looks like a 14-year-old kid.
Who's that, George P?
And is that going to be representing us around the world?
Who, George? I've lost the Bushes with you, sir. I can't keep track of my Bush.
Well, the latest Bush, you know, out of the Bushes.
You mean W?
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a 14-year-old kid.
No, they're gonna keep him inside the White House playing a lot of video games. They got some real fancy stuff. They got a PlayStation 2 they just got in for his Christmas gift, and they'll keep him in there a lot. And Cheney will be running around till his heart gives out in about a week. 567. Yeah, what's going to happen then when Cheney bites the bullet? You think it's going to be Tom DeLay maybe for vice president, or Trent Lott, some other fascist right-wing fanatic? That would really serve those people that voted for this guy. Oh, with his conservative compassionate, what is it? Compassionate fascism? That's what it is. I get confused. Hey, listen, compassionate people like to take you for a shower. What's wrong with that? Give you a free train ride? Here's Sonny Isles. Hello.
Sonny Isles.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Neil. I've come to the conclusion.
Yes?
Who's to blame for this election?
Okay, lay it on us.
Huh?
Go right ahead.
I said a Japanese pilot, if he was a little more efficient, we wouldn't have to deal with Jeb or George.
Okay, great. Brilliant. Was that brilliant or what? That was good. Okay, take a couple of more Milltown and call us again in a few weeks when your bag flows over again. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T. Briefs due at 3 p.m. Bring your briefs. Boxers or briefs? Briefs are, what is it? At 3 p.m. to the Florida Supreme Court on the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. We got so many goddamn rulings back and forth and back. It was pretty exciting for a while, and now George reminds me, or at least the caller did, that I was in Amsterdam when they had the first hearing before the Florida Supreme Court that was broadcast. So we are going to get to hear the audio on Thursday morning, and you can hear it right here on the Neil Rogers Show on WQAM. We will have it.
Bring some popcorn.
Unlike the other make-believe stations that pretend to be news there, whatever the hell they are, this ain't even a news station. This station couldn't give a crap less about the news unless it's about some stupid jock. But on this show, we try to bring you some stuff like we did last Friday with the U.S. Supreme Court. And we were the only ones on your whole goddamn dial that did it, and I'm proud to say it, even though it was pretty ponderous and monotonous. But nevertheless. And it's only going to be 1 hour. Damn it. Now what are we going to do about the spots? Huh?
I don't know, pile them up, play them over the top of it?
Well, no, I mean, it's only an hour. I guess we still got to get the spots in there, huh? Because, I mean, it's only a half hour on each side, and we do those breaks. Well, I'll just talk fast.
We can play those while the Republicans are talking.
And that's a good idea. I never listened to them anyway. 567-0560. Yeah, somebody was saying, oh, did you hear what that Barry, what's the white-haired guy's name again, Barry Richard, who's the registered Democrat but lies about it and pretends that he didn't vote? Even though we know he voted for Gore. Get what he said? And I said, no, when the Republicans are doing everything, I don't listen to it. I don't. I flip over to some ballgame or something. Because I already know what they're going to say. What they want to do, they want to put all the Chads on death row. Here's Port St. Lucie. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that we are, and you hear it in the media all the time that the rest of the world is laughing at us?
Yes, they are.
They are telling you the absolute freaking truth.
Well, I know, because I was in the rest of the world while this was going on.
And I was saying that because I do a lot of chats on the internet, and boy, and I mentioned Florida, and they ripped me a new one. I've got 3 or 4 new ones now that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
But
even those Canadians, even though at the border, they're making fun of us, our Canuck friends.
Oh, our Canuck friends, our Holland friends, our Sweden,
but our
England,
Canuck friends better dumb it down a little bit because they'll remind them of how worthless their dollar is, so then they might shut up real quick. But anyway.
But that's about it. It's time for it to stop. I mean, I hate it because I like a lot of what they're doing over on the right-wing side of it all. But it's got to come to an end at some point. And for that guy that says he can't accept it, the 2002 elections are less than 2 years away.
That's right. The payback is going to be a bitch, pal. Don't ever forget it. See you in Amsterdam. And since they keep making all these ball game analogies, well, it's like a baseball game that got rained out. Oh no, it's like a football game. They keep making these stupid sports analogies, and well, they're trying to end the game or prolong the game. I'll give you even a better one, a football analogy, and I've said this for years. And that is, like in football, you know, it's supposed to be so accurate and so important, you know, and of course the big thing is getting a first down, move the ball up the field. And they bring in the chains. And they have these 80-year-old referees and linesmen, whoever these guys are, and they go and they bring in those chains and they come waddling across to the middle. And in the meantime, the referees, wherever the play ended, they pick it up and they toss it from one to another, and then they put it down and the guy holds it with his finger on top of the ball. Now, they've already moved it at least once, sometimes more than once, and then they spot the ball. And then they come in and they measure to within a 100th of an inch. Right down! You know, and that business. Within a 100th of an inch, as though they're fooling. You see, and the public buys it, like there's really some degree of accuracy there, which of course anybody knows there's not. But once you say that, it takes all the fun out of it because it makes it illegitimate. Just like this election, the election in Florida was illegitimate. Just like the kid that Dan Burton had, it was illegitimate because you had all these paper ballots, all these shenanigans, all the absentee ballots. Did you see when they showed the bins that were holding the absentee overseas ballots?
Like those mailbox bins?
Oh, my gosh, it was unbelievable. And the condition of some of those, it looked like some people use those for Charmin, and they're like torn and smudged, and Jesus Christ. And then they convince you that, oh, yeah, well, there's this high degree of accuracy. Right. Just the fact that they're admitting to a 2 to 5% error of margin of error on a machine recount, 2 to 5%. So if you take that nationally, if we had 100 million people vote, we had a little more than that, 100 million people vote, 5% is 5 million votes. Well, what's 5 million votes, for Christ's sakes? Yeah, okay, good point. Illegitimate. That's just the word to keep in mind. No matter who they declared the winner, it was illegitimate. 9 minutes after 1, just like that kid that would have been illegitimate before the abortion there in Texas in 1971.
I'm seething like a wise Christian about the Jews and gay homos. How I'd love to bury those Christ-killing fairies who don't know the Bible like I know. I'm seething like a white Christian, and how we all must think and act alike and not to think whenever it's appropriate. Yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody in the world was white and Christian and looked the same and said the same things? Boring? I don't think so. No, to me, that would be paradise and the Republican way. I'm seething like a white Christian. Oi! And how we all must think alike. All the gays, black and yet must die until everybody's Christian and
whack! 116 at 560 WQAM. Al Gore can put a large part of the blame on Miami politics if he loses this election, so it says here. After Cuban rafter boy Elian Gonzalez was seized at gunpoint by federal agents and sent back to Cuba, angry Cuban Americans who make up the largest voting bloc in the county vowed to punish President Clinton's partner even though he opposed sending the boy back to Cuba. As usual, do they make any sense?
No.
No. Don't confuse them with the facts. Some angry Democrats claim Mayor Alex Pinga Pequeña, someone once portrayed as Gore's ace in the hole with Cubans in South Florida, shied away from active support because he didn't want his support for Gore hindering his own re-election bid in the September primary. The up-and-coming Hispanic mayor won that race with 52% of the vote. The impact of the Elian decision affected the outcome of the election. I truly believe it, said that obnoxious Ramon Saul Sanchez, leader of the Cuban exile group Democracy Movement. If the Elian Gonzalez case had been handled differently, Mr. Gore would have been president, he said. Democrats like Hialeah Mayor Raul Martinez say that the only reason Pinellas was able to pull off re-election victory was because he had the endorsement of two influential Republican congressional leaders in South Florida, both of whom are Cuban. Furthermore, when the manual recounts were halted in Dade County 2 weeks after the election, a day after the mayor had a meeting with Republican officials in Tallahassee, Democrats questioned whether Pinellas had asked the canvassing board to call it off. I have by law no influence over the supervisor of elections, David Leahy, nor over the rest of the members of the Miami-Dade canvassing board, he said in a statement on Friday. Miami-Dade Democratic Party Chairman Joseph Geller best summed up how some party members feel toward the mayor. We certainly could have used all the help we could get. Clinton won 60% of the vote in Miami-Dade County in 1996 after getting 4 in 10 Hispanic votes. Gore won just 53%. Many Hispanics never broke the link between Clinton and Gore, even though the vice president opposed sending the Gonzales boy back to Cuba. If Gore would have done as well as Clinton did in 1996, he would have left the state with a 40,000 vote margin, said Joe Garcia, executive director of the Cuban-American National Foundation. Martinez charges that Pinellas took a walk for whatever reason, succumbing to pressure from Cuban Americans and Republicans not to support Gore. Before the alien phenomenon, Pinellas was solidly behind the vice president, attending fundraisers and rallies. His demeanor change came during a 5-month custody dispute over the boy after a pre-raid by armed agents followed. There are a lot of Cubans who voted for Bush because they're angry, said Leonardo what is his name, Mierda? 42. Well, that's how it, Merida, I'm sorry. Well, it's the same letters as Mierda. A janitor at the Federal Reserve Bank in Miami the morning after the election. Leonardo Mierda. Gore hoped that Pinellas would be there to soothe that anger. The mayor's top political advisor, Rick Katz, insisted that once Pinellas returned from a trade mission to Spain, he would work extensively to help the Gore campaign. Pinellas was barely back in time to cast the vote, let alone to help Gore in Miami. He failed to attend a Democratic Party-sponsored Gore-Lieberman rally in Hialeah 2 weeks before the election, opting for the trip to Spain instead. And Pinellas wasn't there when Gore held a celebrity-filled bash on South Beach the night before the election. How do you like that? So like Emmy Schaefer would say, it was Cubans! Cubans!
Now, do you really believe that any of those people would have voted Democratic no matter what?
No. Don't you? Clinton got 40%. And Gore got 53%. 7% would have made 40,000 vote difference. It was Cubans! Well, let's pick on them today. I've been letting them off the hook for a while. Not so much picking on them, just pick on Mayor Pinga Picani, because everybody hates him. What's that? Is that a birthday present for you?
It's a T-Bird. 55?
Yeah.
63.
Why does he keep doing that? Why does Boca Brian keep bringing us those little model cars?
This is my birthday present. It'll go with my Edsel at home.
Yeah, it'll go like with all the other ones that we have on the floor here and on over there, and yeah. I don't want him to feel bad, but will you stop wasting your money? He doesn't want that.
Yes, I do. I'll put it with all my other toys.
Yeah, right. You'll put it up on a wall somewhere. It'll be sitting there.
On a shelf with all my other toys. You have no idea.
Crap, right.
My toy shelf.
You won't even open the box because you don't even open those boxes.
Right next to Darth Vader. No, then it'll be worthless.
Just like it is now. Oh, see, you can't even keep a straight face on that. But if you want to waste the money, the economy needs your help. Go ahead. Here's Lakeland. Hello.
Yeah, hey, Neil. Let's just give you a little taste of Nikki Clark yesterday when she was doing some pretrial hearings. One of those lawyers was on a telephone.
I saw a little bit of that.
And they kept crapping out, and finally she said, you just need to get a new phone. Got rid of him.
Yeah, I saw that.
She's tough.
Yeah, she don't put up with any crap.
She's good.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the other little criminal acts that were committed in Seminole County was those Democratic absentee ballot request forms that were just thrown away or left in a pile.
Right.
If somebody went to vote, they figured, well, I didn't get my absentee ballot, I'll just show up and vote, turns out they're in town, or somebody can get them a ride and get there anyway. Because you made a request, you cannot vote at the poll, regardless of whether you get your absentee ballot back or not. So those piles of Democratic absentee requests, those folks couldn't vote, period, because they'd made a request. So when they showed up to vote, if they were able to make it to the poll, they're taken off the list because they made a request.
So once their stuff was put in a pile, that disenfranchised them.
You're gone.
They had piles.
Right. The bullet train was a statewide referendum.
Right. Uh-huh.
Everyone in the state could vote for it. And the reason it passed so easily was because of the way it was worded. Would you like a high-speed rail train in Florida? Sure. If it had been worded, if you vote for this, you will lose 20 years of funding for roads, and there is no funding source for this.
No!
It would have failed miserably.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So it was the way it was worded.
Well, yeah, we'd each like $50,000 in cash under our bed tomorrow morning, too, but I mean, what kind of crap is that? Pie in the sky.
Yeah, so when you see that high-speed rail moving across the state of Florida, all the little wildlife, the animals looking up at it, and it's shining, and it's pretty,
yeah.
You go, yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah.
But, we forgot to tell you we don't have any money for it.
See,
No,
Brian, if you would have bought George a high-speed rail instead of that stupid car, he'd be a lot happier.
He'd be a happy boy.
Right, okay, have a great day, sir. Yeah, bring him a high-speed train next time. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Gore aides predict success in the Florida Supreme Court. Well, that's quite a shock. I don't know. If I can just hang on for 1 or 2 more days. You think I can hang on for 1 or 2 more days? I don't know. It's a good thing I'm on this new diet, this new dangerous diet of mine. And it's not dangerous. There's plenty of good. Anybody going to tell me it's dangerous besides my mother? There's protein, there's fat, there's carbohydrate, there's vitamins, which I take a lot of anyway. I don't think there's nothing dangerous about this. But I'm sure somebody will advise me, like Thursday at Lunch with Mommy. Somebody will say,
that's the most dangerous thing I ever heard.
In addition to which, when you drink a lot of this stuff, oh, you ought to hear the splash that makes. Here's a lady in the Gables. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this. If Bush had won by just 1 vote, rather
Right.
than that landslide of 530-something
Right.
votes, do you think that the courts would have reacted just the same as they have?
Well, I can't see how Judge Sauls could have said, no, let's not look at these 14,000 ballots if the margin would have been like 1 vote or 5 votes.
What I'm leading up to is with all the minutiae of laws.
But let me just go beyond that.
Okay.
The problem is, and I do understand this from the other side, how can you realistically do selective research? In other words, if it's this close or if it's within 5 votes or even what it is now, what should have been done was a manual recount of all the counties in the state. That had to be done. Had to be done.
It's basic common sense, which we don't have anymore. But with all the minutiae of laws, why isn't there a law of a fraction of less than 1% of the vote being either way than that with the demand to runoff? Why isn't there a law in Florida? With all the millions of
what do you mean? Runoff with whom? You mean
against each other? I mean, Bush against Gore.
But there is no provision for runoff in a presidential election. There's no such thing.
Well, there's a million other little laws. Why wouldn't there be one for that?
Because there's not.
All right, okay.
Ask Thomas Jefferson. Ask Thomas Paine in the ass. I don't know. There just is not.
My other question.
It would have made sense.
Yeah, and it's too logical and too much common sense. My other question to you is, how do you think and I've already saying it to you, the apathetic public, even though the majority voted for Gore, is going to react when Bush gets into office? Are they going to remain passive and I don't give a damn?
Maybe for 2 years. I think in '92 you're going to see a tremendous backlash, and most of that right here in Florida. Tremendous.
You think so?
Yeah, I know so.
All right. I hope the man does.
And what needs to happen between now and then is that the ballots need to be. If we can't afford the cash to come up with the computerized voting machines, at least the ballots have to be put out in a way so that all those people that are going to come out to protest in '92, and I assure you that they will, that those people's votes will be able to be counted.
Well, I'm just afraid that Bush and Cheney are going to get drunk one night and push the red button and blow up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because they're both drunk.
I'm holding my breath. Okay, have a great day.
Okay,
I don't think they're going to let either one of them anywhere near it. And of course, if Cheney
with the bottle,
near the button, because if Cheney started to reach for it anyway, he'd probably, that would probably his heart would crap out, and the button too. 1 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Gordon gives South Florida a major blowjob.
I'm disappointed, Junior.
Oh, come on, Jed. I'm your older brother, for Christ's sake. I'm smart, not dumb like they say.
Stay here. Dick? Yes, Bush brother. Let's step outside. We need to talk. What is it, Bush brother? You ever going to tell me about those offers you've been getting from the competing oil companies? I turned them all down. Why do you treat me this way? I've always been loyal to you. So you're staying? I'm staying. Now, as you know, it was Pop's idea to make Junior president. Remember? Governor Bush, Senator Bush, President Bush. I remember Pop saying that. Yes, Bush brother. Dick, Rocco, I want nothing to happen to him as long as my mother is alive. Yes, Bush brother. Understood, Bush brother.
This never fails when I try to catch a fish.
Okay, I just had to dump that. 1:30, just edit the gunshot out at the end. No, it's not. We don't need the Secret Service here, okay? It's not a good idea. Would somebody just straighten him out and give him the car back while you're at it? 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello.
Luferman.
Okay, great call. Very good, very original, excellent emotion. 567-0560, pound 5, and that sounds like a spick to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jamaican.
Again,
the Dirty Heart guy. Joe called it.
What?
Everybody's got any kind of an accent. You call him a spick.
Well, because they all are. I mean, he was a Jamaican, is that what you said? Here's a lady in Pembroke Pines. I bet you she isn't one of those. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I happened to catch a few minutes on CNN, an interview with Maria Cantwell.
Yes.
And it was just really interesting because I believe she has just been verified the winner the day before last.
Uh-huh.
And what she was talking about was that even though it was very anxiety-provoking, that her state, went through such a thorough and painstaking effort.
Especially after she had to spend all that money, right?
And to get it right. But she thought that it was really important process for the voters to feel comfortable with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt kind of a tinge of jealousy and sadness. What would it be like to live in maybe a little bit more progressive place where a close vote
they
would
don't have the backwater kind of voting system in the state of Washington that we do here.
Yeah, I don't know what their voting system was. Maybe that made it easier to retabulate. I don't know, but it just sounded so civilized to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for letting me air my thoughts.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm glad she talked about that because we've had maybe 3 calls on that during this whole week that this crap has gone on. And I just don't understand what it takes to get that across to you people. This is not the way to vote. I don't give a crap whether it was legal, whether it was illegal, whether the Supreme Court says this. I don't care about that. If there are better, more accurate ways to do it, like I just got through saying 10 minutes ago, if it's supposed to be that important, get it right. Get it right. They were talking about when they were recounting the ballots in Dade County, and they've got all these they're shuffling all that. In fact, somebody said they were shuffling them like a deck of cards. They have all these big trays full of these damn ballot cards, and they drop them on the floor, and they step on them, and here's a few that fall over there. Remember at IOD when the check, the $1,000 check the Cox people gave us for the charity that year, which they never give us money for our charities, and it fell on the floor in the promotions department there or whatever. And it sat there for like 8 months. A check for $1,000. And it's the same thing with these ballots. And then we're counting, just like the thing with measuring for a first down. That's exactly what this is all about. Absolutely inaccurate. Unacceptable. Imprecise. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Neil?
Okay, sir.
All right. I hope you don't give me a tongue lashing for this, but I was hoping that...
A tongue lashing? I don't think you're my type, sir.
I was hoping you could play that bit that's symbolic of the police state.
What bit is that?
It's like the marching music.
Well, that's not a bit. You mean Deutschland über alles? You mean that?
No.
What is that?
No,
You mean the boot? You mean the boot?
No, when you talk about the police state, that this country is a police state, and you play this marching music. There we go.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
And I didn't even give you a lashing yet.
Okay.
Don't push your luck. See ya. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Now, what do he be saying? He was Cuban. Okay, where are we going out here? Well, now, let's see, what are you laughing about?
Might have been.
Everybody who calls is either Jamaican or a Schwarzer to you. Every single person that calls. Of course, we don't have any Cubans listening to us anymore anyway, so why should we might as well pick on them. They're not listening anyhow.
We got the 20%.
No, we don't.
The moderate 20%.
No, we don't.
The ones that didn't vote for
No, we don't. They have vamoose. They're pissed off. They hate us. They didn't like what we said about Alien and the fact that they went out there and just about destroyed this community as usual and tore us all apart over a bunch of crap. And I don't see anybody even talking about that 5-year-old kid whose mommy absconded with $150,000 and took the kid over there. I don't see anybody saying, oh, gee, he's not going to be getting his Happy Meal today. You see, when you know you're being used, when you know you're being manipulated, and, you know, somewhere in the back of your mind you do know it, but you don't want to admit it. And after a while it must start gnawing at you, you know what I mean? Yeah, it must start disturbing you. The fact that your emotions are being played upon by assholes, by self-aggrandizing assholes like Ramon Saul Sanchez and Armando, I'm wearing the same white shirt for 10 days in a row, Gutierrez, and all these other assholes. Here's Tamarack. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes?
You should have been first in line for the Steak and Shake in Sawgrass.
I was already there.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, it's good. Not great. They got to get it up to speed with the burgers. It will be great.
But there's a million people there already, and no one even knows about it.
Well, I'm telling everybody that's why they're there.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
You're the guy that screwed it up.
Yeah, okay. You know who that is? You know who that was? Fanny Pack guy. Yeah. That's why he started doing a voice, because then he figured that he might stay on longer, and it worked. He was on actually like 14 seconds instead of 5. Fanny Pack guy. Chronic. Disturbed. Very deeply disturbed. Lose some weight, okay? You're really sloppy, and you annoy us. And isn't it great that we're not doing those appearances anymore? At least I'm not. Maybe you can come to your appearances since you're doing so many.
Doing another one Saturday.
Well, how come we're not talking about it yet?
Because Johnny won't give us the information, like where
Johnny?
It's at a Bill Seidel somewhere in the city from 11 to 1.
Now, how many people did you have last Saturday at the one?
One? Oh, you have no idea where I was. I was on 36th Street and 27th Avenue in Miami.
You had one person show up?
habla inglés aquí, except for the great Bill Seidel himself.
One person showed up?
Well, he worked like right next door. We only plugged it twice. Not that we had any of the keychains there.
You had one person show up? What kind of appearance is that?
It's one where I got paid.
Oh, that's a good appearance then. And that proves what I said. None of the Julios are listening to the show anymore.
Oh, I know. None of them.
Let me say it one more time. Julios, with the exception of our one or two chronics, you know, the old one with the voice, other than that, they're not listening to the show anymore. They've bailed out.
Miguel says I got one more person than the average when they normally do those things.
Yeah. Well, see, we don't really care about drawing anybody out there. That's Johnny. He's learning how to sell QAM real fast. Just give us the money, Bill Seidel. We don't give a crap if we bring anybody out or sell you any cars. Just give us the goddamn money. What is Joe saying? He had two people out. Nice going, Joe. Joe's got a pair.
But one was Gilbert.
Let's tell that story that Joe was telling me. Oh, I better not. 22 before 2 at 560. Boy, he sure ran out of here fast, didn't he?
Jim Mandich, I f***ed him. Oh!
You're an asshole, Mr. Bush. Yes. There's 2 cells left in your brain. Yeah. Your brother and your daddy stole the election fair and square, Mr. Bush. I hope the next time Jeb's doing Kathy, he breaks his tongue. You're a retard, Mr. Bush. A rich and spoiled brat with your silver spoon for cocaine that you pulled out of your ass, Mr. Bush. I wouldn't give you the gooey sweat from under my balls. Let's give Junior a little Deutschland New Bareilles. Why, the only thing dumber than you are all the brown shirt zombies that would actually vote for brainless afterbirth.
Okay. 17 till 2 at 560 WQAM. Says there will be a new Steak and Shake at Southwest 88th Street and Southwest 157th Avenue by the Discount Auto Store. How do you like that? It says we may be dumb, but we won't be hungry, and I would certainly agree with that, Dino. New Steak and Shake at to be built, though. Now, if it takes as long from the day they build it to open it as the one by me, don't hold your breath. Maybe the next presidential election will be open. Southwest 88th Street, that's Kendall Drive, isn't it? Yeah. And Southwest 157th Avenue, way out there west, where all your people are, the Jews. Okay, here's
that is where all my people are.
Mobile in Boca, hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of points, that in my opinion, we heard all the other political affiliations of all the other judges on the case, from the Supreme Court to this guy, to this Nikki.
Nikki.
We didn't hear any political. affiliation about this judge in Leon County.
Yes, we did. You mean Sanders Sauls?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was formerly a Republican. He switched. He's a registered Democrat.
Oh. And the other thing is, I think it's time that, that Broward County and Palm Beach County probably secede from the state. There's so much hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, form our own state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that would take. We would leave Dade County out of it, of course.
Yeah, or maybe we'll just leave. That sounds a lot easier to me. I know I do it as often as I can. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T. Hey, anybody out there want to succeed?
No.
Okay, well then this is a good place for it. Speaking of that, here's the voice of failure.
How you doing?
Okay.
Well, listen, I think we should sue Spain and make them take Florida back. But I'm on vacation. I'm heading up to Maine tomorrow, up to Kennebunkport, and my nightmare is that Bush wins over the next day and has a big out-of-control party in Kennebunkport and gets behind the wheel while I'm up there.
He don't like your kind, I'll tell you that.
You're absolutely right about that. It's going to be interesting to see.
Dave Recount, by the way, if anybody has any doubts, he don't like his kind, whatever his kind is.
Yeah, exactly. But what can you do? You hit it on the head before when you were talking about the Elion nonsense of earlier this year. Why do you think Florida became the battleground for this whole thing? I mean, this whole thing was a well-documented strategy to do this, and it looks like they're going to succeed. And
they're going to secede? That's what the other guy wanted.
I said succeed. He meant secede, right?
Yeah, and you guys can't get it right. You can't get your suck part right.
Well, I keep trying, though. But in any case,
Me too.
We'll have to see what happens. The thing, though, everybody talks about the popular vote and all this nonsense. On the 3 or 4 popular vote elections where the other guy won the electoral, and the guy with the popular vote lost.
Right.
Each one of those was bathed in corruption. Each election,
right.
And this is no different.
And I was just reading the other day that the Tilden Hayes election, that went on, and that it wasn't wrapped up by January the 20th or by December.
Well,
it went on for months.
It was the inauguration back then was in March, but
right.
After that he got the nickname Rutherford B. Hayes.
Right.
And it's just amazing what goes on in this country,
But they're always talking about precedents for this and precedents for that. If they were able to do it back then, and it went on till March, what's the big hurry? I think Clinton could probably handle another couple of months.
I'd say keep them in there. I think that's what Monica said too. Keep them in there.
Keep it in there, yeah.
But anyway, I'll be up in Maine. Hopefully, I'll avoid the bushes and everything else. And in closing, hey, can I call Adam the lifeguard a golden shower?
Okay.
Thank you, man.
And watch out for those glory holes. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. So we got more excitement coming up. It just never ends, does it? Does it ever? No, it just keeps going. Like I said yesterday, I said it again at the beginning of the show this morning, and you notice the poll is now starting to move a little, just like I am. This morning when we started, a lot of us were kind of like, okay, time to concede, it's all over. And now that we're hearing what the Florida Supreme Court says, what's another day or two? After you've already spent 80 million weeks trying to figure this goddamn thing out, what's another 20 or 30 lawsuits among friends? And, of course, the attorneys, they love it. The clock keeps ticking and ticking and ticking.
Loan me $50.
Yeah, and oh, man. How'd you like to have in a bank account what these attorneys are going to be collecting on both sides, huh? Not, I say on both sides, and then you got the attorneys for Catherine Harris and the attorneys, and that jackass. I'm so glad that Judge Sauls did one thing. That Larry Klayman from Judicial Watch, that asshole, yeah, that was sitting there in the court, and the very first day, Saturday morning, I guess, he gets up and starts to say something. You were allowed to be here, Mr. Klayman, as an observer, or one of the attorneys for Gore, I guess, said that. He was allowed to be here, and the judge says, absolutely right. Sit down, Mr. Klayman. And that was the end of his participation, that asshole. Oh, we demand those ballots. We want to see them.
No.
Yeah. Who the hell are you? Take a look at this. Here's a mobile in Hollywood. Hello.
Hi, Neil. How are you today?
Very good.
Just for the record, I'm a white Caucasian male. I know you weren't sure.
Yeah, I think this weekend we'll have to do another one of those ethnic polls to see if we have any Julios left or what we got out there, because I'm confused about it.
Yeah.
No, seriously, between the alien thing and then, of course, the Bush business, we've alienated many of the people, which I don't really care, but I think it's just kind of interesting.
Exactly.
Because if you don't tell people what they want to hear, they get all pissed off.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have a public service announcement for everybody listening on their mobiles. Traffic's backed up on 95 northbound from 595 all the way down to Pembroke Road. It's stopped dead. There's a real bad accident. So
from where to Pembroke Road? From where north?
From Pembroke all the way up to 595.
From Pembroke north. Okay.
Yeah, it's stopped dead.
Okay, I'll stay off.
All right, Neil.
Thanks.
You take care.
You too. know. It's just I just don't know how long this can go on. And evidently the people out there, I mean, there's nothing else going on.
4 more years.
Yeah, well, let's keep it going another 4 years. That sounds good. In fact, look at that. There's
They ended up with a teeny tiny majority, and Gingrich so infuriated his fellow Republicans because of this tactic.
There's Bob Franken with 20 pounds of cotton in his mouth. Do you ever hear audio like that in your life? CNN, you know, they can congratulate themselves on their 20th anniversary and showing these clips. This is a clip from only 6 years ago, and it sounds like he's got 52 socks in his puss. Now, which one was it had a cat named Socks? Was that Bush? Papa Bush? See, real presidents like Bubba, they have dogs. Or is that Clinton's cat? What's the dog's name? Buddy? Or is that Buddy McKay?
Millie.
No, oh, that's right. Millie was the one that kept crapping on their leg, yeah.
The one that wrote the book.
Well, he sure had a lot of stuff on his shoes. Then he kept puking and he kept puking on his shoes, and Millie kept crapping on his shoes. Man, somebody get a new pair of shoes for Papa Bush as soon as he gets his hip fixed up. 10 before 2, read his hip. 10 before 2 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Neil Rogers is my lover.
Premium beer. You downed a Red Dog. You've chugged a Red Wolf. Now open your mouth and wrap your lips around a Red Cock. Red Cock's foamy head will leave you breathless. Red Cock goes down easy, and it's never hard on your throat. So reach into that box and wrap your fingers around a long neck Red Cock. You can shake it and spray it all over. Remember, you can't beat a Red Cock. Just look for the label with the big red pecker on the front.
Okay, speaking of that, Boog Shelby's in the building. He'll be along for Hank, too, because Hank's getting that big award today. And Boog's reading a bunch of dirty pictures. Yeah, Hank's getting an award from some organization that nobody ever heard of before. And the whole station's there. It's a good way to take a day off. And Bluff is there, with his suit on, acting like a real person. Is he fooling anybody?
No.
No. I mean, what a joke. This place. I never worked in a place where so many people took so many days off. I'm sorry. 56705. Well, that's what life's all about. We got 492 votes on our poll. I think what we'll just keep doing is do the same poll every day. We'll just wipe the slate clean. How about now? Is today the day? Huh?
No.
What about we'll do it every day. Now that he's lost in court again, Al Gore should concede or exhaust all legal options. Now, it started out today, it was pretty damn close. Remember, it was like neck and neck? And then we had that Florida Supreme Court with their breathless announcement 12:30, and they're going to hear oral arguments on Thursday and anal arguments on Friday, and yada, yada. And all of a sudden, the worm started turning it back. We can wait another day or two. Why the hell not? We got nothing else to do. So we got 492 votes. Concede 214, 43.5%. But exhaust all legal options, 278, 56.5%. Which, if my memory is correct, isn't all that much different from what it was from yesterday's poll, which did start taking a little bit of a change after the hanging judge, Judge Sauls up there in Leon County, gave his screwed up opinion. Well, actually, I don't blame him. I have no problem with Judge Sauls. I think he did a good job during the trial, and I think, I would disagree with certain conclusions. But how the hell, who's going to take a look and decide that he doesn't want the responsibility of changing the outcome of the whole presidential election based on a handful of ballots from a couple of counties? I think that, and if the Florida Supreme Court overrules them, fine. They got the ballots up there, let them decide. I think that's really what he was saying. And anybody who can't empathize with that needs some serious empathy help. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right.
All right. Really enjoy your show, and I think George does a great job when you're not there, too.
Spectacular job.
There you go. What a preference. I would actually be what you define as a Julio, and I'll preface my political preference is usually Republican.
Right.
But I'm a liberal Republican.
Uh-huh. Wow.
In 96, I did vote for Clinton because I think it was doing a jam-up job at the time.
Right. He was jamming it everywhere he could.
And then some. And the only reason, I'll be honest, I voted Bush this time. I don't think Gore did sufficient of a job to sell me. I don't think he really attacked the issues the way he did. And really the main reason I picked Bush over Gore is really on an economic policy, because that's usually how I've picked presidents. That's why I like Clinton and his job he's done. And it's unfortunately he can't run again because I'd vote for him one more time.
Well, but Clinton didn't promise any gigantic tax cut for the rich, so I don't see where's the comparison between the economic policy.
I'll be honest, it's not so much that he has a hands-on look at economics, but I like the way that he kind of sat back and said, you know, the economy's doing well, let's